and Jojo Romero keeps it rolling. He goes an inning and a third. He gets a couple of strikeouts. He gets the win, and the Cardinals win the game. Jordan Walker is becoming more and more confident with every game.
A lot, man. The team did a big job of getting on base and everything like that. So, yeah, man, it's just, confidence. I think it's good, man. I think it's good that I fought for that bat, man. And so, yeah, they made it easy by putting getting on base for me.
That guy's going to be your face of the franchise very, very soon.
He's so cool. I was so excited just to see him in that post game.
He has everything.
Yeah.
Like everything you want. It was a ball hit to right field. He got to it quickly, and he threw a rocket to second base. Like, he has all of the things you want. You see the speed on the triple, the ability. The fielding part will come when he gets more comfortable with that position in right field. But he is going to be a really good baseball player.
It's just exciting. And we talked about even during spring training this year, you saw some people, there was photos taken of people already having Walker jerseys. That excitement just building around him. I just want to know if jersey sales went up last night after that. Or even just this season in general.
I wonder if he's going to change his number. I know he's talking about, wasn't it 22 at one point?
Yeah, he should change to 22.
He might change after this year, but maybe don't get the jerseys just yet. Let him go into spring training and then decide if that's going to be his number going forward. But he is, I enjoy watching him play.
And his comp, interestingly, as number 22, 6'5", 240 pounds, big guy from Atlanta, is Jason Hayward. Because he's got that, he's a five-tool guy. Now, hopefully he'll wind up better. I think he's already a better offensive performer than Jason Hayward. Jason Hayward got hit in the face early on. Remember that?
Yeah,
he was just never the same, really. But can he hit? Yes. Can he hit for power? Yes. Can he run? Yes. Can he field? Yes. Can he throw? Yes. I think he's going to be just a force in the National League.
He's going to be really good for years to come.
The Cardinals will send Dakota Hudson to the mound tonight, so don't have to watch if you don't want to. The Cardinals will win, but you don't have to watch. And TBD goes for Oakland.
Yeah, he's going to be just as good as whoever pitched last night. Sears. Felipe Perez. Like, it was,
this is one of Rock's favorites. TBD is just a great player. Tim Bontemps.
All right, don't you speak Tim's name in this studio.
Keep that name out of your mouth.
How dare you? That guy's getting bombarded with requests this NBA season.
Yeah. The inside joke is that Tim Bontemps from ESPN gets consistent texts from Matthew to come on our show, but never does. He never even answers.
I'm going to shoot him a message in his DM and say,
in fairness, here's the thing. That one hurts, but honestly, I still think that Jay Delsing, who always responds to my text, a guy he's related to never responding to my text, Taylor Twellman, that one hurts even more.
Yeah.
He also responds to Jackson Burkett. God, that smarts. That stings.
I can imagine how difficult that is.
I have no idea. I guess I gave a too hot of a soccer take one day.
Aww.
That happens. The Cardinals also yesterday put Steven Matz on the IL. He does not have a back injury. He's got a lat injury, a lat, which is like isn't it under your arm?
Yep.
A lat. It kind of hurts when you pull it.
Oh, yeah.
So, Pobo Mo, how long is he going to be out?
How long? I always hate answering those questions because things change, but I think in the immediate future, we know he's going to be shut down for a minimum of 15 days. I would imagine it's probably no throw for at least 3 weeks, and then we'll probably reevaluate it then.
I'm thinking that shut down are the two operative words there, guys. What do you think?
I think so. I think it's better than to push it, especially as you're looking ahead to the starting rotation next season, where about the only pieces that you know about, at least before this injury, would be Steven Matz and Miles Mikolas.
Right. And now you still know about Matz, but I still think you look at him as number 4. But it was notable yesterday, Brooke, and you brought this to my attention because I did not see it, that the Cardinals kind of have their offseason game plan set.
Mm-hmm. So John Denton of MLB.com, he tweeted out, John Mozeliak, as we heard there, addressing media members, just speaking on things, talking about Steven Matz and his injury, but also addressing the offseason needs. And this is a quote that John Denton of MLB.com has. Realistically, we know we have to add 3 starters this offseason. We know we have to add depth. We went into the season thinking that we would have that covered. It didn't work out that way. And then it continued on. Having a repeat of that, talking about this past season or this past offseason, would not be in the best interest of the franchise. So I think our approach is going to be very aggressive on the pitching side. We'll see where it takes us.
So
that's all the things that you want to hear, right?
Absolutely.
Right, CD, you're not convinced?
No, because you always hear what you want to hear. But I'm about Marshawn. I'm about that action, boss. I want to know. I want to see things happen. I don't want to hear people talk about it. I want to see things actually happen. And if you say you're looking for 3 starters in the offseason, well, you should make that happen. But don't tell me you're looking for 3 starters. Allegedly, go look for 3 starters and end up saying, we couldn't get any of the guys that we tried to get. Like that. That to me feels like, yeah, you said all of the right things, but how much effort was put into it?
Actions speak much louder than words, and especially after last season. They can't afford to have another offseason like last year where a lot of people took our payroll is going to go up as our payroll is going to go way up.
Yes.
And even though that was never said.
But it's
that's the thing. That's the thing.
And even the comments about Albert Pujols and Yadier Molina, the amount of revenue that brought in last season, that seemed to even get people more excited, those comments. But I don't know, maybe just one way to look at this as possibly positive is that he did say last offseason, John Mozeliak said that they were going to be focused on a catcher. What did they do?
They got a catcher.
They got a catcher.
Yeah.
He didn't lie about that.
No,
he was very clear that was going to be their focus that past offseason. So hopefully this offseason, when he's saying that they're going to get 3 starters, he's going to mean it.
Right. Hey, congratulations to Eli Drinkwitz at Mizzou. They get a top 10 player in the country, a 5-star defensive lineman named Williams Nwaneri from the Kansas City area. Number 1 defensive lineman in the class of 24. Chose the Tigers over Tennessee. How did he not take that money? Georgia, Oregon, and Oklahoma. He's a product of Lee's Summit and the 2nd highest ranked recruit to ever commit to the Tigers. If he signs, Drink will have landed 2 of the top highest-ranked prospects in program history and could now land the top 2 prospects in the state for the first time in the modern recruiting era. So M-I-Z.
That is huge. Did you see the video of Eli Drinkwitz and the team celebrating? It was what did you not like about it, Rocc? Do tell, because I'm not going to say it.
Can the head coach of the university, the highest-paid public official in the state, not wear camouflage shorts?
Do you have a problem with camouflage shorts?
They were camouflage cargo
I'm sorry.
shorts.
You're in Columbia, Missouri. Buck the stereotype. That's all I'm going to say.
He's from Arkansas too. That's very on brand for him.
Just come on, my guy. You are the highest paid state official in the state.
Here's the thing, though.
Put on a pair of pants. I don't know. Put on a nice pair of shorts. Just not the camo.
He doesn't need to
bright
worry
yellow
about me.
hoodie.
If you're a 16-year-old football player and you see that video, what do you think of that outfit?
He's a nerd. He's
Is
a
that what you
nerd.
think of your 16-year-old?
Yes, he's a nerd.
So why would you commit to go there?
So something's working out because that's pretty big.
Casey Business shows up.
Oh, okay. There you go.
That's what it is. I mean, that's what it is now.
So now we're talking pay.
Well, now I'm looking at the outfit.
I mean, it's bad.
Okay, I mean,
well, one of the things that Mizzou has going for them is the NIL, where the players that are committed to their school from the state of Missouri can start getting paid earlier. So that is a beneficial thing that Mizzou has going for them. So if they want to continue to get these high recruits, they have that in their back pocket to help them do that going forward.
I was telling CD when we were walking in, because I was asking him about this new recruit coming in, you got to get him signed first. But I was like, did you see those videos of him talking? I noticed that a lot of the people who were at his announcement that he was going to Mizzou, the question he got asked over and over again is, so you're not going to flip, are you? So you're going to stay with Mizzou? And I was like, what did you think of those comments, and what did you say, CD?
It's until he signs, it's going to be asked. Until he actually signs that paper, they're going to continue to ask him, because, you have offers from all these other schools that have won championships or have played in championship games. That is generally the reason why people want to go to those schools.
It was a very frequent question. Let's just say that in his celebration yesterday. Also, the video. Can we talk about these videos that high school athletes have now?
A lot of production value
for where they're committing. It looked like a movie.
It's too much for me.
Also, I do want to say, we put into perspective, you're not going to get the money. It's not the big name. But at the same time, he is going to be next year playing with a very young defense that right now is grading out as one of the best in the entire nation. That's going to help him get numbers.
And the Tigers trying to restore D-line zoo, the likes of Charles Harris and Shane Ray and Marcus Golden and Coney Ely and Michael Sam and Justin Smith and Alden Smith, Stryker Sulak. They've had so many good defensive linemen, pass rushers that have made their way to the NFL, and hopefully they'll be able to restore that tradition. Okay, we're off and running here on 101 ESPN. Coming up, Dylan Carlson is hurt now. Tyler O'Neill is usually hurt. How should the Cardinals prepare for their outfield in 2024 and 2025? That's next on 101 ESPN. Hey, I want you to know about my friends at Chesterfield Fence and Deck. 55 years in business in the St. Louis metro area. And when you drive down the road and you see a fence that's up and it's got a sign that says Chesterfield Fence and Deck, you know that it has been built exquisitely. They do such good work at Chesterfield Fence and Deck. It's earned them an A-plus rating by the Better Business Bureau. They have all kinds of great warranties, a 5-year labor warranty, and, of course, all kinds of different material warranties as well. And at Chesterfield Fence and Deck, they built my fence. They came out, did all the measurements, told me what I was going to have, told me I was going to have a lifetime product, and I do. I'm very happy with my fence from Chesterfield Fence and Deck, and you'll be happy with whatever they do for you, whether it is a vinyl or a cedar fence or a vinyl or a cedar deck, or maybe you want to turn your deck into a sunroom or a screen room. They'll show you what they'll do. They'll give you some ideas with pictures of what they've done in the past, and you will love the work they do for you. And tell them you heard about them from Randy and get a 20% discount this month when you deal with Chesterfield Fence and Deck. They're on the web at chesterfieldfence.com. You can call them at 800-300-4054. I love them. You'll love Chesterfield Fence, too. Chesterfield Fence and Deck, the sign you have the very best. All right. We talked about Steven Matson last segment with the lat injury, and he'll probably be shut down. Oblique injuries are just so dicey, and that's what Dylan Carlson is dealing with now. And Dylan Carlson, for me, I don't know about you, Brooke and Carrie, has kind of reached that stage where I expect him to be hurt. I kind of have a Tyler O'Neill vibe about Carlson now. I think there's a ton of talent. Jim Bowden yesterday mentioned on BK and Ferrario, he said, hey, if they trade Dylan Carlson, it's going to wind up being like a Rosarena or Garcia. He's got that sort of ability, and he's going to go be an all-star for somebody else. The problem is he does have all sorts of ability, but does he have the most important ability?
Availability.
I don't see it for the last couple of years.
That is very important. I wonder if there is something to why is it that so many of the outfielders continue to deal with injuries?
That's a question. I mean, it's you wonder if it has something to do with training, if it has something to do with the therapy that they're receiving. It's something is taking place, and maybe it's just their bodies. I don't have an answer for that because, you know, you train your body to be able to play an entire season. That's what the offseason is for. Mm-hmm. You know, that's what the preseason is for, to prepare yourself for the rigors of an everyday, every other day, you know, style of play and be able to do that. And right now, Dylan Carlson hasn't been able to get on the field consistently because he's hurt. Tyler O'Neill, we see the talent that he has, but he's always hurt. Newt has missed some time because of injury. Mm-hmm. You just, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's bad luck, if it's just their bodies failing them to a degree, but it's unfortunate because Dylan Carlson could potentially be the starting center fielder had he not gotten hurt up until this point, and Tyler O'Neill would be starting every day if he isn't on the IL.
And if you move Dylan Carlson this offseason, you're going to be selling low. If you move O'Neill or non-tender him, you're going to be selling low. But my guess is that on opening day of the 2024 baseball season, the Cardinals will have Lars Nootbaar in left, Tommy Edman in center, and their right fielder will be Jordan Walker. I really don't think that they're going to have Edman at second with Wynn at short. I think there's a stronger likelihood of them having Gorman or Donovan at second base. So my guess is that you don't have O'Neill and Carlson on the roster to start next season, even if you're selling low. I don't think you'll have them, and I think Alec Burleson will be your fourth outfielder.
And maybe that's what you need to do, right? You need to go ahead and move on from things instead of continuing to hold on, especially with this Tyler O'Neill situation. It has been really tough to see this play out because I think that he is a great player and valuable when he is available. As we're talking about, availability matters so much, and it's interesting because he even changed. You're talking about the rigors of, the offseason, the preparation to make sure you can play an entire season. He talked about training his offseason approach in order for him to be able to play a full season and how that was the focus of his training. And he was injured more than it seems like he's ever been, or out at least more than he's ever been. So you have Dylan Carlson, and then you have Tyler O'Neill with those injuries over and over again. I think it's very painful with Dylan Carlson because of the cold dead hands, that comment, that he was supposed to be your center fielder of the future, and then you've seen this drop-off. I know injuries have come into play, but even when he came back from injury this season, they didn't start him right away. Remember, they still put Tommy Edman out there as their starting center fielder. I think that says a lot about how they saw him.
And I wonder, first of all, with two guys to sell low, do you sell two outfielders at pennies on the dollar during the offseason when you know that one of the guys was a top five most valuable player candidate in 2021, just 2 years ago, and then the other guy was a cold hands, dead hands guy, and everybody in the world knows, every other baseball team knows, hey, these are talented players that I can get cheap. If you're the Cardinals, with your history with Rosarena and Garcia, do you roll the dice on trading two outfielders that have that sort of ability and hope that they just don't stay healthy?
I don't. I mean, what else can you do? Because if they're on your roster and they're unable to play, significant amount of time, you're essentially not having them anyway. So it would make sense to get what you can get in return. I think we were all surprised that Tyler O'Neill wasn't traded at the trade deadline. Mm-hmm. And then we saw him perform after the trade deadline, and it was like, oh, well, this is why. And either you're going to go forward and he's your starting left fielder, or you're going to go forward and you're going to trade him in the offseason. But you need him to be at his best, completely healthy at all times.
And the other fly in the ointment, the other monkey in the wrench, is that Victor Scott, who's got an OPS of 763 and 74 stolen bases in the minor leagues this year, is going to be your opening day center fielder in 2025. Mike Gersh as much as said that with BK and Ferrario a few weeks ago. So at some point, you're going to have to move these guys. I guess the question for the Cardinals is, do you want to give one of these guys, because the guys I mentioned are going to be there. It's going to be Nootbaar, Edman, Walker, Burleson. So do you keep either Carlson or O'Neill to be your fifth outfielder for 2024?
I say no. I say that you have to go ahead and move on. It's going to be painful because maybe the value that you see in these guys, you're not going to hear the same thing from other organizations. I mean, Dylan Carlson, not too long ago, was it 2021? He finished third in National League Rookie of the Year voting, right? I mean, it wasn't too long ago that we're separated from that. And you can't predict how things don't work out. And I'm sure Dylan Carlson, he will probably go on and do great things for another organization, but sometimes that's more of a change of scenery. Look at Lane Thomas and his progression. I know that people talk about that like that's another name that is painful to see move on, but if you looked at his numbers before he was moved, it was like he needed a change of scenery, maybe even getting away from some of the pressures of an organization like the Cardinals.
I think he had like 111.
It was not. I know, and so now he looks fantastic, but sometimes it just doesn't work out for your organization. So I hope that the Cardinals don't let that paralyze them, having those guys who have moved on, like a Randy Arozarena, like a Lane Thomas, because sometimes you can't predict. You're not going to win every single battle, but I think it's worse to hold on to things when you had this logjam of the competition in the outfield this season, and look at how that worked out.
Think about
and
this,
you can't
though.
have that happen again.
Right. But if we would have been having a conversation about Tyler O'Neill and Dylan Carlson on January 1st of 22.
Yeah.
Okay, a year and a half ago. Carlson had just finished third in Rookie of the Year. O'Neill had just finished eighth in MVP voting and won a Gold Glove. We would have thought, okay, we're set for the next 5 years in the outfield. Now here we are a year and a half later, and we're talking about selling them for pennies on the dollar. It's amazing.
Health is the most important thing. I mean, if you can't get out on the field, then you aren't providing what's needed to be provided for your team. And so when you're looking at those two guys, again, they have all of the talent. One of the fears is Dylan Carlson is going to go and be very, very good, a very, very good baseball player. And we've seen the ability of Tyler O'Neill. But again, if those guys can't do it every single day, then what good are they to you on your roster?
Exactly. That's Carrie. That's Brooke. And coming up at the end of this month, the Bommarito Automotive Group 500. And yesterday, Brooke and I had a chance to sit down with the four-time champ of this great St. Louis event, Josef Newgarden. And we'll hear that interview next on 101 ESPN. Hey, if you felt a little bit fatigued and you haven't felt up to snuff and you feel like, okay, I'm just getting older and this is a natural part of aging that I'm not going to be as energetic as I used to be, that doesn't have to be the case. Guys, there's something called mentality that can help you out. All of us have our testosterone level drop as we age, and all of us have our energy level drop, and we are more fatigued, and we deal with low energy and low motivation and maybe even some anxiety and depression. These can all be symptoms of low T, and that's where Mentality comes into play. Mentality is a great local clinic that has a way to restore your testosterone level with an FDA-approved testosterone treatment that will get your testosterone level back to where it was when you were in your 20s. Check them out on the web at lowtusa.com. At Mentality, they're going to work with your insurance company to provide you as low an out-of-pocket expense as you can possibly have so that you can get back in the game and be the guy that you want to be and be able to coach your kids' teams at night and be able to go for long walks with the wife or the girlfriend and make sure that you are as healthy as you can possibly be. It's Mentality at lowtusa.com. Tell them Randy sent you. If you want to get to be the guy that you want to be, go to Mentality.
This is Rocc with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals yesterday with a win over the Oakland A's, 7-5. Tommy Edman goes 2-5 from the leadoff spot. Jordan Walker with a bases clearing 3 RBI triple in the bottom of the 7th completes the Cardinals comeback. They will look for another win against the A's tonight. 6:45 first pitch. It'll be Dakota Hudson, 3-0 on the season with a 4.31 ERA, facing off against a toughie for the Oakland A's, TBD. Better than a soft-tossing lefty for the Cardinals. Also, that is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff. Find your roads and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
One.
Welcome back to the opening drive on 101 ESPN. The Bommarito Automotive Group 500 is coming up August 26th and 27th at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Already the 7th Bommarito Automotive Group 500, and we get a chance to visit with Josef Newgarden, 4-time winner of the race, and Chuck Wallace from Bommarito. And Chuck, first with you. Man, 7 years has flown by.
Yeah, it's hard to believe we've been doing it 7 years. It seems like a long time ago, but it's not. It's here we are in year number 7, and we're really getting the hang of it.
And not only do you have the hang of it, but you've made an impact on the St. Louis sports calendar, because now it's something that everybody knows about and everybody looks forward to.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. This year, for the first time, it's going to be NBC broadcast. It's no longer going to be NBC Sports, so they said we're going to pick up about 2 million viewers.
And Josef Newgarden, you look at the list of winners, and there's Josef Newgarden 4 different times. Why have you been able to succeed at Worldwide Technology Raceway so much?
Well, it's a good question. I like everywhere we go, though. This has been a great track for us. It's a short oval. It's kind of like a mini Indy 500, if you will. Not very far away. We're only four hours kind of southwest. So, it's a great hub for us, a great track, really fun to drive, takes a ton of commitment, and a track that requires that, where you've got to commit to not only the driving, and feel confident in the car, but the way you make moves. I think we excel at those type of tracks. So that's probably why it's in our wheelhouse.
And you talk about being a mini Indy 500. Well, you won the Maxi Indy 500. That's a pretty cool thing. Have you achieved, and here you are, you're a young man, have you kind of achieved your racing dreams already in terms of winning races?
I try not to think of it that way. I think you could rest on it and say, hey, we've got a couple championships. We won the Indy 500. We're all set. We're all good. It's the same thing when you win the 500 during the year. A lot of people rest on it and they say, it's a good year regardless. And and it's just not the mentality that I like to operate in. I'm always trying to move forward and figure out, what is the next one? What's the next challenge? What's the next on the list? And for us, it's this race coming up. Coming back to Worldwide Technology Raceway, we're excited to try and win another one. You've got that mark on your back. You win 4 here, and people, they just assume you're going to show up and be good. And so I try and not get complacent in the sport. I don't want to assume we're going to show up and we should be good somewhere. It's really the places where we've not had success that keep me up. And I say, okay, how are we going to turn this around? But I'm still trying to stay vigilant around a pace like this that we feel like we're so good at.
For both of you guys, the fan experience is always something that sticks out to me, and it seems like you guys always elevate every single year. What can fans expect when they come out to the Bommarito Automotive Group 500?
Well, first, it's a very family-friendly situation, and Curtis Francois and the track have done a great job. They've opened up a new fan zone, an area where almost everybody can go. You don't have to have a suite ticket or anything, but it's like a fan walk. You can get up close and personal with the drivers. Unlike so many other sports, stick and ball, those guys go through a tunnel, okay? They go on the field. You might see them, you might not see them, but you can get up close and personal with Josef and owners and drivers and, be right there in the mix with the kids.
And Josef, just for you, having been here, just that fan experience, do you actually notice the fans? And what is that like for you, having that one-on-one interactions with them?
No, it's a great point. It really is what I think separates our sport, particularly in motorsports. Even if you look at other forms of it, I don't think there's, anywhere near the access that you get that you're going to see in IndyCar. For us, it's front and center with the fans. I mean, they can literally walk up, see the way the crews are operating, see what we're doing right before we get into the car, et cetera. So it's very inclusive. It's tough for us sometimes. I got to be honest, you're an athlete out there just trying to, I'm focused in on the race and what I'm going to be doing. But I do love that, as a fan, if you enjoy the sport, you can have that intimate setting with the drivers. So it's a unique dynamic. It's one I'm pretty used to at this point, but you got to thrive in it.
Josef, when do you feel like the car is going fast? At what threshold do you think, wow, we're really moving here?
It's funny, with an IndyCar, if you're running 100 miles an hour in an IndyCar, it feels like you're standing still. It feels like the thing's not even operating. It's crazy. You're asking the pace car to speed up because you're not moving. So that's just an example. 100 miles an hour, that's nothing. But it does pick up. It's all dependent on the track. At this racetrack, we're going to be doing upwards of 200 miles per hour in qualifying. And that's pretty quick on just over a mile for a racetrack. This is a small track. This is not, some huge speedway. And so to be able to do those speeds with Indy cars is really impressive. And that's why I talk about the commitment that you need at this track. So, once you start creeping up to that 200 mile per hour point, it definitely gets your attention.
Chuck, what is your favorite part of the weekend?
The race.
Yeah.
Finally
coming
there's
together.
so much preparation leading up to it. It's everybody's, it's all hands on deck. The track's working hard. We're working hard. Everybody's promoting it. Josef comes in to help us. But it goes so fast. I think that's the killer. I mean, once you say start your engines, it's like, it's something. It's a lot of fun. He's talking about the track. What's interesting about this track, it's like an egg-shaped track.
Right.
It's not, all corners aren't different. I'm not a race car driver, but it's got to be different to be going through 1 and 2 than 3 and 4.
And is it, you have to make those changes. Is there ever any difficulty, though, especially in those short turns?
Oh, very much so. It's a great point. It's they're different corners on each end. Some people think with oval racing that it's really simple and that you're just turning left, and it couldn't be further from the truth. I mean, it is incredibly difficult to drive these cars on the limit every single lap. I mean, if you want to be fast and you want to win the race, you have to be on the limit. You're not over it, not under it. You got to be right on it. And so you're adjusting every single lap in the race. 3-4 is a lot more open. It's very wide open on the throttle. 1 and 2, you're actually braking a little bit because it's much tighter. So just trying to keep the corner speeds up is really important. And then, like I said, being aggressive at this track is what pays dividends. And so when you're watching as a fan, it's to me, it's exciting to see an IndyCar race where people have to be aggressive to succeed. So that's what makes this place pretty exciting.
We love rivalries. And as I look at IndyCar, I see your name in the last few years and Will Power's name. Can you categorize what the relationship is? Is there a rivalry between the Josef Newgarden team and the Will Power team?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, not really. Will's he's my teammate, and that's the tough thing about IndyCar too. You're racing against your teammates, and it's a different dynamic than, let's just say, football, where, when you're right next to your teammate, you're pulling for each other as best as possible. So I have to walk that tightrope with a person like Will, who's literally in my team. But at the end of the day, we're working together to try and get a good result for the team. But once we're on the track for the race, it's kind of all bets are off. It's I want to succeed, he wants to succeed, and so we're teammates until the very end. And then when it's go time and it's for the race, it's every man for himself, which is a weird dynamic to follow.
Yeah. Chuck Wallace from the Bommarito Automotive Group. How much has the association with the race meant to the Bommarito Automotive Group?
Oh, it's meant everything. I mean, it was one of the best decisions we've made. We did it because of the love of motorsports, and we wanted to give back to the city, do something nice, and we feel good that we helped bring it back, and we feel that the success we've all had with IndyCar helped get NASCAR, helped get some other things here. But no, it's meant a lot to us. I mean, we've been recognized for it. We appreciate it. It's helped us sell cars all across the country. I mean, the racing community is just amazing. The very loyal fans, very loyal people, the race teams, the people that own these teams, the drivers, they're just so solid. Mm-hmm. And, they're so easy to get to. They're so easy to talk to. And, it's been wonderful for me personally. I helped bring it. I helped get John into it. I've been going to the Indy 500 since 1978. I've only missed 3. I was there for COVID. I was there during the COVID one. And so I love it. And to be associated with it at this level, from a kid that was dreaming about it, it's very, very special. And if you've never been to an IndyCar race, 200 miles an hour between two walls. You can't explain it on TV. You got to smell it, you got to feel it, and these guys can't touch.
Right.
You can rub on some other sports. You can rub metal, but not here.
And you can get tickets at www.raceway.com. And that brings to me a point, Joseph, because you were here on the ground floor of this race too. What's it been like for you to see this race kind of grow up?
I love it. For me, it's I don't want to say it's a favorite because I try not to have favorites. I love everywhere that we go. I want to succeed at every track, but there's no doubt it's been a very special place for us in IndyCar. I think it is a great introduction if you've never seen an IndyCar race. When you're up close and personal and there in person, it hits very differently. And if you've never seen it, I think you have to give it a chance. But it is for sure one of the top tracks that we get to race at. So I'm excited that we're here again.
And finally, one thing that I always like to ask drivers. When you get out on a highway, what's it like for you? You mentioned that going 100 miles an hour in an IndyCar is not moving. You get out on a highway. Is it easy for you to get to 85, 90 and not even think about it, or do you really abide by the rules of the road in your regular car?
It's more the driving standards that stick out. It's not even so much, why can't I go quicker? It's more, what is everybody doing out here? Like, how did this many people... How did they pass a driving test? It doesn't compute to me. That's what really gets to me when I'm driving on the road.
Well, hey, it's great to meet you. Great to have you here in St. Louis, and congratulations on the win so far and your dominance here at the Bommarito Automotive Group 500. Good luck this time, too.
Thank you. Josef
Newgarden and Chuck Wallace, thanks for your partnership and what the Bommarito Automotive Group does for St. Louis. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Josef Newgarden, driver and 4-time champ at the Bommarito Automotive Group 500, and of course, Chuck Wallace from the Bommarito Automotive Group. Again, the race, the 26th and 27th. Tickets at www.raceway.com. More coming up on the opening drive after this on 101 ESPN.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here. This summer, I'm taking up a new hobby, one that I know will last a lifetime, and that is golfing. And I'm learning at the best spot in town. That is Family Golf and Learning Center. I've always wanted to learn how to golf, but was just really intimidated and I didn't know where to start. But after my first couple lessons with RJ, Melissa, and the wonderful staff over at Family Golf and Learning Center, I was actually able to hit it straight and most importantly, just feel comfortable out there. I even went out there recently and RJ just really took the time to break things down for me, even give me some homework to take home. That's what they do there at Family Golf and Learning Center with several pros on staff. They have the ability to help anyone with their golf game. Like if you're just like me, where you're starting out or you want to improve your game. They provide a friendly, encouraging practice experience for the individual and for the family. All abilities and ages are welcome. So join me on this golf journey. Join me on this golf journey today. For more information, go to familygolfonline.com. That's familygolfonline.com. Learn, practice, play your best golf.
And give us your take it or leave it.
Brought to you by Gloria Lou Realty. Visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com and start packing.
That's my final offer. Take it or leave it.
Okay, don't forget you can watch us on the YouTube. Just go to YouTube and go to @101 ESPN STL. We'd love to have you see us on the old YouTube, on your phone, on your computer, on your giant screen in your office, whatever. If you want to watch us, you can. And you can also text us, 314-399-9646. That's 314-399-YO-HO. For Take It or Leave It here on 101 ESPN. You guys got pens or pencils or something? Or just minds? Okay, good. Here we go. I mentioned during the FanDuel spot that I was looking out for the Jets. Okay, so I want to put you guys to put W's or L's for the first half of the season.
All right.
Jets open up Bills at home. Okay? Second game at Dallas. Third game, Patriots at home. Fourth game, Chiefs at home. Fifth game at Denver. Sixth game, Eagles at home. Seventh game at Giants. Eighth game, Chargers at home. Take it or leave it with that first half of the season. And by the way, they play 17. Don't forget that. But with that first 8 games, the Jets are able to make the playoffs. What do you got? What record do you have for the first half of the season?
I got 5-3.
Ooh, okay, good. What about you, Brooke?
I think I got 1, 2. I got lost count a little bit, but I think I have 4 to 5 wins for them.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But then after that, it's Raiders, Bills again, Dolphins, Falcons, Texans, Dolphins again, Commanders, Browns, and Patriots. Yeah. I think that they'll probably go, after those first 8, they'll probably lose only 1 game down the stretch. So I think that's 11 or 12 wins for them.
Well, you were kind of picking my brain because I was going to go with the Jets as well with the addition of one Dalvin Cook. Mm-hmm. Take it or leave it that they are now the favorite to win the division.
I'm going to take that even with Buffalo still in the division.
I'm glad to see teams getting things figured out with running back situations too a little bit. Are you still not happy with it?
He got paid $3 million and a $1 million signing bonus.
Do you think that
Dalvin
this is
got
just to get them
$8.6 million
to the next
cool.
side of it?
They deserve more. They work too hard.
They do.
$15 million a year at least.
At least. Maybe $25 million a year.
Yes.
The Patriots, with the addition of Zeke, I think it's going to be really interesting for their offense.
Take it or leave it. He runs for 1,000 yards for them.
Leave it. Ramondre Stevenson is a really good running back.
He's a really good running back, yeah. One other thing about the New York football Jets and that schedule. If they don't win, I think Aaron Rodgers takes so many arrows from especially the ESPN and national media. Because ESPN thinks that there's only like one person on the roster rather than 53. I think that he will be ripped by ESPN if they don't start off great.
Oh, yeah. Well, because it'll give them plenty to talk about, right? Yeah. Plenty to talk about. Did you guys see, too, where they didn't want any involvement with Hard Knocks?
Yeah, well, tough.
Yeah. No involvement with that. All right, take it or leave it, guys. We were talking about during the break all the drama going on with Michael Orr. Did you guys see all that?
did.
It was all over social media yesterday. Huge story. Take it or leave it. That is the ultimate blindsiding ending to that story.
Take it. I'll
There's
take that for
layers
sure.
to this story. There's layers to this
great.
story.
It's unfortunate.
You don't like that, Rocc?
No, I agree with you. I did not see that coming.
No, I can't
was
say
blindsided.
anybody did. Yeah, I think everybody was blindsided in that situation.
Yeah,
Pretty much.
pretty good. All right.
Take it or leave it. Mizzou signs another 5-star football player before the Illini. I don't know why they threw that in there, Kerry.
Yeah, that's
What did we do?
I'm just saying.
What?
I can only read the text.
They love us so much they hate us. I mean, what's going on here?
Guess so.
Yeah. Well, okay, I'm happy for Mizzou. They got, I will take that because, again,
take it.
Mizzou has the ability, if they sign their players or if they commit to Mizzou, they can still get paid in high school. So that's an advantage that the University of Missouri has.
The texter's coming after the host today. This is from Janet. Lukewarm Baker needs to take his big swing back to the minors.
Oh, I was waiting for somebody to bring that up.
Come on,
guys,
after
it didn't look great last night. But we'll see how it goes.
Warm Baker?
He looked
Yes.
Luke and warm. Yeah, it did not look great.
unfair.
It definitely looked like a AAA player.
Well,
but I'm going to give him more of a chance.
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
I get it. Okay, he's back in the major leagues, even though the last couple of guys have walked and a run has been walked home and he swung at the first 2 pitches. But don't you get the anxiousness of being in that situation? He wants to hit a grand slam. He wants to hit a ball 750 feet.
Yeah.
Right?
He wants to be able to do what he was doing in the minor
Yeah.
leagues. There's just definitely a difference
get it.
here. Yes. And hopefully I'm going to give him more of a chance. But I did see a lot of the reactions on social media last night.
Oh, were they
of
coming
that.
after you?
No, just some people pointing. I just saw all the stuff about Luke and Baker, but I just want to say I wasn't the only one.
I did not social media Luke and Baker last night. I kind of felt for the guy because I can imagine being up there and, okay, I'm going to hit, swinging as hard as you can at ball one.
Because then it finally kind of proves something, right? It proves that you deserve to be up in the majors. So I know that he said in the pregame comments that he's not trying to make this moment too big, but it felt like definitely in that moment last night we saw him. He made it too big.
He
But
definitely
you have,
was.
but we see it all the time. I mean, the Phillies called up that one guy who was like a career minor league hitter. He hits a home run. The Astros have the guy who hadn't hit a home run since 2015. He hits
Jonathan
two.
Singleton, yeah.
He hits 2 in one game. It's like you watch all these moments. You're like, no, I'm one of the guys. This is my moment.
Right, totally.
And then it's not.
Yeah.
That's just how it goes.
There's time, guys.
But if he does wind up hitting like 221 and he's a 15 home run guy, lukewarm is a pretty darn good nickname.
Janet, you struck well. Take it or leave it. The Steelers make it to the AFC Championship.
Gary.
Ooh, pick it to Pickens.
So here's my thing. I think Pittsburgh is going to be really good this year. They are my sleeper team because everyone is looking at the Cincinnati Bengals with Joe Burrow. They're looking at the Baltimore Ravens with Lamar Jackson, which are very good teams if the Browns figure some things. And the Browns, don't worry about that. AFC Championship feels like a lot, but I do see them making it to the playoffs.
I just
With as
think,
many teams as they have, because they have a really good defense still.
Yeah.
Alex Highsmith, T.J. Watt, Minka Fitzpatrick. They got some guys on that defensive side that they get after. Cam Hayward. They got guys.
Thing is, you've got those two teams you mentioned, Cincy and Baltimore. Then you've got the Jets and Buffalo. Then you've got the Chargers and
We don't worry about the Chargers.
and Chiefs. Well, they got a lot of players, man.
Yeah, they are always hurt. They're like the Cardinals.
You never know, though. You never know. And they've got the quarterback, and they've got a great defense. They're kind of like the Jets, except with a younger quarterback. And then you've got an emerging Jacksonville team. There's just so much competition in that conference.
I agree.
To Gary's point,
And Tennessee.
Highsmith doing that in a season where he didn't have Watt like pulling pressure the entire year.
It's going to be a really good year.
That was the most
defensively for the Pittsburgh
It's
Steelers.
like 14 sacks. I couldn't
Yes.
believe that.
Brooke, did you just hear that, by the
He
way?
said in the Titans.
No,
She turned it off.
As a really good AFC
Somebody got to win the AFC South.
team. Yeah.
It's always towards the end there. It's like nobody wants to. That's always the
I will
beauty
go
of
with
it.
the
9-8,
Titans.
man. Fisher he'd be golden there. Well, no, because he'd probably go 8-9.
Yeah.
The AFC South post Peyton Manning. It's been fun. Take it or leave it. The Cardinals should. Take it or leave it. This is more make or break season for the Buffalo Bills than any other team.
Interesting. I kind of think so, yeah, because Stephon Diggs is getting older. They don't have a running back. They're going to get some of these defensive players that are going to land in free agency. And at some point, because of the money that Josh Allen is making, they're going to have to rebuild around him. And as we've seen, that's really hard to do. When the quarterback takes the money, it's really hard to build around him.
I'll leave it, but I will say it's maybe a make or break year for Ken Dorsey, even though it's his second year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you lose Brian Dable, who that offense looked extremely powerful when he was calling the offensive plays, and now Ken Dorsey going into his second year. I think the image that we have of Ken Dorsey is him breaking that iPad in the booth after the game. That's the image that keeps popping into my head.
More make or break, Ravens, this iteration of the Ravens, or Bills?
Ooh.
That's
Did the
tough.
Ravens have more chance?
I think the Ravens have more time for some reason. It feels like it. I'm going to say the Bills. If you're putting those two,
it just seems like
against
Baltimore,
each other.
even though they haven't won with Lamar,
Yeah.
because they've won relatively, well, not really recently, but it just feels like they've been in the hunt, and it just feels like this thing in Buffalo, because they haven't been to a Super Bowl. It just feels like they've got. Cincinnati's been to a Super Bowl. Kansas City's been a roadblock for them. Just feels like they have to get there.
Is it because of the Monken new offense? We're finally going to let him call his audibles at the line and stuff like that. That we're giving the Ravens more leash because they're finally going to let Lamar with a new contract play his own way.
I think so. Yeah.
Take it or leave it. The Jets end up missing the playoffs and end up in third in that division behind Buffalo and Miami.
Leave it. Miami is. I love Tua, but Tua's not going to be healthy enough to play the whole season. And their backup is the
Mike White. Isn't it Mike White?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they got Mike White. So, yeah, they aren't finishing second. I love them, but they aren't finishing second in that division. Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you, Randy.
Next up. Okay, we talked about the Mo quote from yesterday. How would you feel? And you can text us, by the way, 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO, or leave us a mic drop with the 101 ESPN app. How would you feel if heading into the 2024 Major League Baseball season, Miles Mikolas was your number one starter? That's next on 101 ESPN. Hey, folks, the Indy Car Series is coming back to Worldwide Technology Raceway on Saturday, August 26th and Sunday, August 27th in Madison, Illinois. And if you like watching the cars and stars of the Indy 500, well, they're coming here to St. Louis for their last oval race of the season. They'll be pushing 200 miles an hour down the straightaways, getting just a few inches off the wall and battling wheel to wheel. It's simply amazing. On Saturday, catch IndyCar practice and qualifying along with the Out Front Showdown for the Indy Next Series. Live music and an incredible incredible car show on the Midway on Sunday. It's the Bommarito 500 for Indy cars, but the day kicks off with the Rumble Before the Roar pre-race party, vintage Indy cars, more music, and a huge Corvette show. Plus, this year, the USAC Crown Series battle it out for 100 miles just before the big race. It's a great weekend of racing broadcast to a massive worldwide audience. You need to be there. Get your tickets at www.raceway.com. Brought to you in part by the Discover Downstate Illinois and the Illinois Office of Tourism.
Fresh perspective on the day's top stories. It's the Opening Drive's Fresh Take.
Brought to you by Schnucks Rewards. Reward yourself. Earn 2% back on every purchase with the Schnucks Rewards app.
In St. Louis, your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Brooke, Carrie, Randy, you can see us on YouTube at 101 ESPN STL on the YouTube channel.
You can see us all show.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
On YouTube. That just ended.
That just
I think you just caused that to end. Yeah, I do.
During our break,
I think so.
Looking right at the camera?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, all right, just checking. So,
Just having a nice conversation. Please go to the tube and see Carrie's conversation with the camera. It was
during
great.
our break. Yeah.
I feel like we're on the real world. Because typically, for those who don't know, which you should go look on YouTube, typically we just put up a black screen during the break so that we can have just a wee bit of privacy. And Rocc just decided to throw it at us where he's going to put us basically on there constantly. So he goes to the camera in the top corner ceiling where you can just see us. I feel like I'm on the real world or something.
We're gonna fade it out a little bit. It's not gonna be fully opaque. It's not gonna be fully video. We are gonna fade it a little bit.
The eye in the sky is still gonna be peering down on us.
People to understand they're still with us during the breaks. They're still here. We're still here. They're still here.
I got Rocc. Yeah. Okay.
I don't like it.
Guys, major league teams still and will continue to use WAR as their ranking system for major league players. This year, while Miles Mikolas is the Cardinals' #1 starter, he is 43rd among major league starters in WAR at 2.1, which isn't bad. Figure you have 75 starters in the National League, 75 starters in the American League before injuries, and so you have 150 starters, and so to be 43rd in WAR, you're in the top third of the group. But that being said, if the Cardinals would make moves where Miles Mikolas was their #1 starter, they could add 3 starters very easily and still have Mikolas as their #1. How would you feel about that? And you can send us a mic drop. By the way, you can also listen on the app. So you can use the mic drop on the 101 ESPN app, where you can send us a text. But when you look at the top of the list, and some of these guys aren't available, Garrett Cole of the Yankees, far and away tops in WAR for Major League starting pitchers at 4.9. Logan Webb of the Giants, you aren't getting him, 26 years old, at 3.9. Nathan Eovaldi, whom Brooke, after he had a good start to the season, decided she had wanted during last offseason.
Oh, yeah, I've always wanted him.
Yeah, he has 11 quality starts of his 19 starts. He's third in WAR in the major leagues among starters. And then Sonny Gray. Don't forget.
Oh, that's your boy.
It's not September yet.
That is your boy.
It's not September, but he's fourth, and that's kind of scary because the Cardinals are really married to WAR. And then Blake Snell, who's also a free agent, is fifth. Former Cardinal Zach Gallen is tied for fifth. Shohei Ohtani is seventh among pitchers. Clayton Kershaw eighth. Framber Valdez ninth. Kyle Bradish of Baltimore also ninth, and then George Kirby. So my question is, could the Cardinals get guys that, according to the WAR metric, are below Miles Mikolas, people like Lucas Giolito or James Paxton that are going to be free agents, that would make you comfortable with the Cardinals heading into next season with Mikolas as their number one starter?
As their number one. Now, I have a follow-up question for you with this question that you have proposed for us.
Yes.
So when you're saying this, is it more of they could also shuffle around the starting rotation after the fact? Because we have seen them shuffle around the starting rotation. Is he going to be the day one starter or your number one starter just because it's opening day, the principle of he's going to be your most tenured starting pitcher?
No, it's that guy's your best guy. Like with Garrett Cole, everybody knows whoever the Yankees get, he's going to be their best guy. Same thing with Kershaw. Kershaw is still the most talented Dodger pitcher. So it's going into the season. You know that he's your number one. He's your most talented pitcher. Now, if you just go by numbers, if you're a numbers person, you would say this year that Miles Mikolas, number 43 in starters WAR, is better than Dylan Cease, who is multiple spots, about 14 spots below Miles Mikolas. Corbin Burns is 17 spots below Miles Mikolas. If the Cardinals were somehow to magically get Corbin Burns, we'd all know that Corbin Burns was their number one starter.
Yes.
But I'm just using the WAR metric here as just a ranking system. But let me give you three. I'll put Sonny Gray out there. I don't love Sonny Gray, so I'll just presume that everybody doesn't love Sonny Gray. If you would get Sonny Gray, Lucas Giolito, and Kyle Hendricks as the three starters that you get, would you be happy with those guys and Miles Mikolas ostensibly being your number one guy?
I don't think. Is Miles Mikolas the number one at that point?
I think
is Lucas Giolito not your number one?
Mikolas is more productive than Giolito. I think Giolito is more talented. Mikolas is more talented.
If those are the
productive.
three that you get, I think the Cardinals fans, it wouldn't matter who's number 1, 2, 3, or 4. I think they would be comfortable with that rotation going out there every fifth day and performing well.
Okay. Miles Mikolas' best season was way better than Lucas Giolito's best season.
So you're all in on Miles Mikolas being your number one starter?
No, I need to get a Snell. I need to get
Nola.
I need to get, even if I trade for Dylan Cease, I know what Dylan Cease is capable of. Dylan Cease, if the Cardinals have him, he's my number one. Let's look at it this way. I don't want my best starting pitcher. This is all due respect because I love Miles Mikolas,
yes,
but I don't want him to be my best starting pitcher in 2024.
No, and I hope that, because we already got some texts in where people are saying that would very much be how the Cardinals approach the offseason, where Mikolas is your number one and maybe they go get like a 2-3 guy to fill the rest of the starting rotation. I hope, and Mozeliak didn't clarify in his comments, or I don't know if he did touch on this, if they're going to go get a ace. And that would be my hope, is that they go and do this when they're talking about spending money and being aggressive this offseason, like Mozeliak said in his comments. I hope that they're going to get a guy who's an ace. I hope they get a 1 and 2 guy, and I still see Miles Mikolas as being your number 3, 4 possible guy.
But that's where I said earlier that conversation is just words.
Hopium. We're all high on hopium here.
Until you show me exactly what you mean by we're going to go get 3 starters. Are we going to get a number 1 and a couple of other guys? Or are we going to go get 3 number 3s, 3 number 4s? What does that mean?
Right. And text, how comfortable would we be if we signed the Japanese pitcher? Is he Yamamoto?
It's Yamamoto.
As a complete unknown as our number one. I wouldn't be comfortable with that.
And he's expensive, too, because isn't there some other rules, too, when it comes to bringing over specifically Japanese players of not only you're going to have to pay them, but there's an extra fee that comes
the
associated
fee,
with that. And he has been associated with names like the Dodgers, the Mets. I haven't seen any connections with him with the Cardinals. I think that would be great because obviously you've even seen with Miles Mikolas talking about Japanese players. I mean, he competed in Japan and the Cardinals brought him from Japan. I know it obviously started here in the U.S., but I do think that would be an interesting fit. I don't know if I see the Cardinals going after him. I don't know.
Not for that kind of money. Obviously, they've done well in the Asian
market. But that's
market.
a lot of money.
It is.
What would it take for you all to feel that the Cardinals really gave great effort in the offseason? Because, I mean, we've heard, we had Mo come on and say, we did try to go after guys, we just didn't get them in terms of the rotation for last season going into this season. What would it take for you to say, okay, they actually did put forth effort to make something happen?
There are 2 or 3 guys that aren't Ohtani that are clear number one for the Cardinals pitchers.
Yes.
And I think they need to get one of those guys, whether it's through trade or whether it's through free agency.
If they put an offer out, but that player X decides to go elsewhere, is that sufficient enough?
No,
That's not enough?
The Cardinals, I think one of the biggest short-sighted things about the Cardinals is I think they misread last year's pitching market. Pitching is expensive now, and I think that they thought that there would be some guys that would come back to them in free agency price-wise, that all of a sudden Evaldi's getting $17 million a year. You knew that Verlander was going to get outrageous money, maybe not $43 million, but you knew it, that he was going to get outrageous money. You know what some of these guys are going to make, but the mid-level guys are making outrageous money now, and the Cardinals have to be prepared to swim in those waters. And I know that free agency has not done well for the Cardinals, and it hasn't done well for free agent pitchers either. But unfortunately for them, it's where they have to go because they don't have a number one on the horizon, either here in St. Louis or in Memphis.
And you have to get over the sticker shock. You're talking about last offseason. I think that they were very surprised about the prices that people were going for. But here's another advantage that the Cardinals have. The Mets have already said what about how they're going to approach this offseason?
Yeah, they aren't going after big-time free agents.
And then the Dodgers, I assume, are also going to be very tied up with Shohei Ohtani.
Yes.
I assume they're going to be all in on him. So I think if I'm the Cardinals and you're talking about being aggressive in your approach, this is the time to do something different. This is the time to do something that is very uncharacteristic because this was an uncharacteristic season. And with Moselak's comments yesterday, I know that we're talking about actions, and I do want to see the actions too because we have to bounce back after a season like this, especially organizationally. And I hope, it seems like they are very frustrated with how this went and that they will be aggressive this offseason.
And by the way, if you're interested in this in the offseason and you're listening to us, so you probably are, take a look at the numbers of Julio Urias of the Dodgers over the last 5 years, who was also a free agent.
Yes.
He's had some injury issues this year, but man, he has been good for 5 years now.
Polo mentioned him a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
He's a stud, and he's a guy that can pitch in September and October. Urias is another guy that the Cardinals should have significant interest in. I want to get to a couple of texts here. Number one, I love this. Mikolas being the number one starter for 2024 will cause the season to feel like a cross-country trip in an electric vehicle, sitting on edge and hoping I make it because I don't know where the next charging station is and may wind up stranded.
Yeah. If you don't know about that feeling, it is
it just shock and panic and fear?
It is fear. I told you I was driving back from Memphis and it was cold outside. I had the heat on and didn't realize that the battery was running down faster than it should have. I was had to turn that heat off for about 45 minutes. It was freezing in there.
So then you're cold shivering and just looking for any sign of...
It is a nerve-wracking feeling, yes.
Yeah. Would you be okay if the Cardinals go out and only get one starting pitcher if it's the top guy and they get 3 solid arms for the pen? Pen honestly concerns me more than starting pitching. No, because the Cardinals need innings. If you get a number one guy, then all of a sudden you've got Mikolas, you've got Matz, maybe Liberatore, Thompson. I'm not comfortable with that starting rotation. So I need to get multiple veteran starting pitchers. And one other one. Randy, why did they get away from developing pitchers? The Cardinals have not done a great job of developing pitchers for a long, long time. The last stud I would say they developed was Matt Morris. And then you've had a litany of guys that have gotten hurt, whether it was Alan Bennis or Alan Watson or Donovan Osborne, or you traded Bud Smith, but he didn't get healthy, Jimenez, Ibar. And then you look, what if the Cardinals for the last 5 years would have had a 1-2 of Flaherty and Alex Reyes being what everybody in baseball expected them to be?
Oh, my God. That would have been perfect. And I'm sure that's exactly what they were hoping. That was the plan.
I don't think just the Cardinals. I think sports in general have gotten away from development. People assume that these guys they don't want to work as much as they used to. It's tedious work to prepare people to be a collegiate athlete or to be a professional athlete. It's hard as hell, and oftentimes coaches and at every level want guys to come in ready-made and ready to do their job without teaching them how to do it.
Yep. And it's a dice roll. And because of that, that's why if I'm the Cardinals, if I don't know if I would do it, but if they wind up with a trade where they can get a legit starter and they have to include Gordon Graceffo in it, because of what's happened by my experience with Flaherty and with Reyes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If Graceffo goes and becomes Alcantara, but I get a number one pitcher in return for next year, I'm going to be okay with that. I'm actually okay with the Alcantara because the Cardinals were doing what they should have been doing at that point. But some people don't like the fact that Alcantara turned good. They would have been fine if Alcantara would have turned into Alex Reyes, but he didn't. Coming up next year on 101 ESPN, we've got a bird watch. That's coming your way. And then at the bottom of the hour, we've got a fight. Do you need a fighter today, Matthew?
Yes, because you won yesterday.
Okay, so we do need a fighter today.
I did listen to that. You did win. Yeah.
Friendly reminder.
Yeah, so we can get your text in 314-399-9646, 314-399 yo-ho, your name and the word fight for the fight at the bottom of the hour. But next up, Birdwatch on 101 ESPN. You might think of my friends at Hoffman Brothers as a heating and cooling place, and they are. They're the best heating and cooling place. But did you know they also do appliance repairs? If the handle falls off of your dishwasher and you need to get it fixed, just get in touch with Hoffman Brothers. Go to hoffmanbros.com. You can set up an appointment there, or you can give them a call and get them out to your house very easily. And they'll do fantastic work. The number is 314-664-3011. And whether it's a refrigerator, dishwasher, microwave, washers, dryers, ovens and stoves, maybe it's just your ice machine in the refrigerator, most companies are weeks out on delivery. Well, what'll happen with Hoffman Brothers? They'll come out, take a look at your appliance, and they're honest, they're wonderful, they'll try to fix it. If they can't fix it, they can deliver a new appliance the very next day. So call for a free estimate on any appliance repair and any appliance installation, and they'll most likely be able to take care of you within 48 hours. It's Hoffman Brothers, 314-664-3011, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer on the web at Hoffman Bros, HOFFMANN, hoffmanbros.com. it's time for a bird watch here on 101 ESPN. Brooke, Carrie, and Randy. Brooke, what do you got?
Oh, my bird watch is going to be Jojo Romero, or as you like to call him, Randy, Ho-Ho Romero. Jojo Romero has really made...
Yo-Yo?
Or Yo-Yo?
No, it's Ho-Ho. Like Jesus.
Yo-Yo.
Jesus is Ho.
It's Yo-Yo.
Well, we had Jairo Munoz? So I think I'm going to stick with Ho-Ho.
Okay.
Jesus, J, right?
Yeah.
Ho-Ho.
I'm going to go with Jojo.
Yeah, it can't be JoJo though, because as we know, our pool has taught us pronounce it like a J. It has to be a Y. Yo-Yo. It's Jotty. So like it can't be JoJo.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to say Jojo anyways. Jojo Romero has. We're not. We need somebody else to chime in with this because we're not doing great. Yeah, Polo will probably text. Polo, if you're listening, please text in and help us. We need help. Obviously, did not do well in our Spanish classes. But anyways, Jojo Romero has really just made the most of the opportunity he's been given, and it kind of makes you wonder too if he was getting, shoved a little bit away just because of the position and he was in with Jordan Hicks and how well he was doing, and Ryan Helsley. Once again, you don't like to see Helsley injured, but this has created an opportunity for Jojo Romero, and he looks fantastic. Obviously, we saw what he did last night, but over 6 appearances this month, Romero has given up 3 runs, 7 hits, and just 1 walk while striking out 12. He's getting more and more of those late inning looks, and guys, I like it. He looks fantastic. I think that is a huge bright side when you're looking at the bullpen moving forward for the next season.
Oh, yeah. He is. He's a guy that can fit. Now, I cautioned people a month ago, and I will caution you, don't believe everything you see. But does he fit in the bullpen? Absolutely. Do I want him as my closer? Probably not. But he definitely has earned a spot with the eye test, with his stuff, to be in the Cardinal bullpen.
Yeah, I think he's done a really good job, and I like his passion that he plays with. He brings a lot of energy.
Yeah.
He's excited on the mound.
Red Bull, man.
I love it. I need guys like that. My bird watch is going to be Dakota Hudson. We've talked about this starting rotation over and over and over again. You got Steven Matz going out now with an injury, which leaves another spot possibly open. And so I think the thing that came to my mind was Dakota Hudson could potentially be in this starting rotation going into next year. And the reason being is they continue to give him opportunities to pitch, to start. And so if that wasn't the mindset, if you didn't think that he had the potential to do it, why wouldn't you bring up a Graceffo or McGreevy? Why wouldn't you get those guys, into the flow of what's going on every day if you had no plans on using Dakota Hudson as a starting pitcher going into next year? So it is going to be, in my opinion, it's going to be that 5th spot, Liberatore, Dakota Hudson, Zach Thompson, figuring out which one of those 3 is going to take that role. Maybe you'll get to see Graceffo here in September because we don't know what's going to go on with Waino. Does he perform well going down the stretch? It's opportunities there, but I think Dakota Hudson has earned the right to continue to go out there. He's going to start today. We'll see how well he performs. His last outing, he threw 5 innings. The outing before that, he threw 7. And so for me, he's 3-0. He's done pretty good. I think he's going to be a guy that gets that opportunity. Can he take hold of it and keep it once he gets it?
Hey, this is easy. Yes, he can.
Just don't consume.
What's the rules?
Ollie, I know you're listening. Ollie, get tossed in the first inning tonight. Don't watch the game. Just at the end of the game, Dakota Hudson is going to give you a representative performance, and more times than not, give you an opportunity to win the game.
But that's all you need,
right?
Like
but the thing is, he walks guys and he goes deep in counts, and you go, whoa. So if you like that, cool. But if you're like, if you want every inning to be pristine, it's not going to look like that. But at the end of the night, you're going to say, gave us a chance to win.
If you don't watch the game, you just look at the final numbers at the end, typically, then you'll be like, that must have been a decent game to watch. Yeah.
Maybe 7 or 8 hits, a walk or 2,
or 3 or 4.
He had runners in scoring position a couple of times, but got out of it.
He's a pitch maker.
There you go. He's just showing you what he's got.
Yeah. Guys, we are supposed to be really enjoying this month. Cardinals took on the last place Rockies. They took on the last place Royals. They're taking on the last place A's. They're going to take on the nearly last place Mets. They're going to take on the last place Pirates. This was supposed to be such a cool stretch where we were pulling away, and I hate it. They lose 2 out of 3, obviously, against Colorado, a bummer, and then they split with the Royals, a bummer. Hopefully they'll be able to sweep Oakland and handle the Mets over the weekend and get some W's. But this was supposed to be, as far as I was concerned, you played 500 until you got to August, and then August is when you started to pull away. Well, how unfortunate that the bullpen, because of being overworked and the starting pitching causing them to be overworked and the defense and all the injuries, how unfortunate the Cardinals weren't be able just to sit at 500 at the beginning of this month, because if they were there at the beginning of this month, they could have really made a move. But it ain't going to happen.
Wasn't Giovanni Gallegos' blown save? It was like the 25th for the Cardinals
That was
in the
his
season.
sixth.
I know, but I'm saying like
as a team,
as the
I think
team.
they're over 30.
They're not that high.
No, they haven't hit
Hey,
30 yet.
I think it's
Bad.
It's been bad.
like
This hasn't
23,
been. We
24.
haven't
Gallegos
hit
was
there
20.
yet.
Yeah, Gallegos was 25. Was number 25.
25 in the season?
Yeah.
Yikes.
Oh,
He's had a couple. He's had a few.
If you win half of those, if you how many have they lost?
So-
But here's the thing.
I mean,
How
you
could they
lose
have
it.
known this was going to be an issue? It's not like Mike Claiborne came on here the second week of the season and was like, hey, you might really do your bullpen dirty if you keep having to use them like this.
Yeah, well,
Who could have seen that coming a week into the season?
yeah. It just all came together. I'm curious for people who are still fully watching the games. Of course, we're watching all in here because we love to. But I'm
Is
curious
that
what
why?
everybody. Yes, but I'm curious
Or we have to.
what is keeping other people watching. So text into us because I just want to know. Is it Walker? Is it Dakota Hudson? Is
So
it
25 blown saves. So if you win 12, if you go 12 and 13 in those games, if you win 12, you've got 65 wins, which is exactly what first place Milwaukee has right now.
That's fun.
If you go,
I don't like math because of things like that, Randy.
yeah,
When you bring up moments like that, it's painful.
you'd be tied with Milwaukee for first in the division.
What do I know?
And the schedule is not quite daunting at the moment. So, yeah, there's
You
our
have
bird
an
watch for
opportunity
you.
to run away with it right now, huh?
Yep. There's your bird watch here on 101 ESPN. Ollie. Get thrown out in the first inning tonight, buddy. And you'll win the game. Just don't
Go get you a man soda.
Man soda, yeah. Just sit back and watch.
Man, so
Yeah, just watch something else. Go back and watch FBI on Channel 4.
oh god,
Right? Is it Tuesday? It is,
have
right?
no idea.
Yeah, just go back and watch FBI on Channel 4, and then when you go into the press conference room, say, just look at the sheet and say, yeah, Dakota gave us his performance, and that was a good win.
I wonder what they do when they get thrown out. Do they? I wouldn't. I would just.
I think they could watch
hang
you
out.
on TV, yeah.
Chill.
Unless you're Bobby Valentine.
And then you
put
sneak
on
back into the
glasses
door.
with a nose. Yeah, right.
that's amazing.
How many of them are like down the tunnel, like signaling to like the coach, like
I bet.
Oh, yeah.
Like, here's
Probably
like,
can't get away.
100%.
You think Tony La Russa might have done that?
Can't get away.
1,000%.
Yeah.
No doubt. Coming up next, we've got a fighter here on 101 ESPN for, as you might guess, The Fight, which is pretty interesting idea there, huh?
That is crazy.
This is Logic
We're
Class.
gonna change the name
this-
though. I'm putting in a petition to change the name.
Okay, what's it going to be?
The Bludgeon.
No, don't let him beat up on me like that. That hurts
Don't
me.
worry about you.
No.
I'm not worried about you. I'm worried about them. You just imagine signing up for a slaughter. Just come on now.
Well, we've
Come
already
on
got
down for the slaughter.
We've already got somebody who is more than willing to fight, and you will. It doesn't hurt. It's
Rooting for the underdog, Randy.
You got a chance any given Tuesday, any given Tuesday. You never know. You might be the one. The Fight's coming your way on 101 ESPN.
We got the cameras on.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here. This past winter, my father went through hip and then back surgery. After being active his whole life, biking and competing in triathlons, as he got older, the wear and tear led to constant pain and limited mobility. But finally, after getting surgery this past winter, he is back to moving around pain-free. He even visited recently, and he says that he's getting around great, and he looks great. And he says he wishes he would have done it sooner. You might be in a similar situation, just continuing to put it off, but anyone who has suffered from serious back or joint pain knows how hard it can be to find lasting relief. Here's the thing, though. You don't have to live in pain. You can find that relief at SSM Health Orthopedics. They are the experts at diagnosing and treating joint problems, offering many treatment options, including non-surgical techniques to find the best solution that works for you so that you can get back to doing the things that you love. So don't wait today. Visit SSM Health/Top Ortho. That is SSM Health/Top Ortho for more information and to find lasting relief.
This is Rocc with your Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Cardinals yesterday with a 7-5 win over the Oakland A's. Miles Mikolas in the start, 6 1/3 innings pitched, 2 hits, 4 earned runs, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, and his 13th home run of the year allowed. Jojo Romero gets the W on a decision by the official scorer. He went 1 1/3 innings pitched, 0 hits, and 2 strikeouts. Also yesterday in big local news, Eli Drinkwitz and the Missouri Tigers got one of the highest rated recruit commitments in program history, technically the second biggest recruitment ever, when in-state 5-star defensive lineman Williams Nwaneri committed himself to Mizzou yesterday. That is your Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
The undisputed king of Morning Drive, please welcome Randy Carricker.
Welcome back to the opening drive. I'm Kerry Davis, joined by Brooke Grimsley, and it is time for the fight. And Rocc, you are a man amongst men. Look at you. You work. He's
everywhere.
He does the phone lines. He gets us back on air in time.
Well, the funny thing is,
update.
I was doing a lot of things at once because I didn't do it when I was supposed to.
I was trying to be
impressive because
You don't have
it
to
was
tell
very
people
impressive.
that.
I don't need to see the.
I like
we
to
don't have
pull
the cameras
curtains.
on all
I like
the time.
to pull the curtains
right?
aside.
Right?
I'm not Wizard of Oz on this
Yeah.
one.
Well, you're an
I'm trying to be
engineer,
honest.
okay?
We don't have the cameras on all the time, Rocc. Right? We turned them off.
We apparently are not turning the camera on during the break
I was
because
looking at
somebody's angry.
someone's soul. Okay, it's okay. I wasn't angry. I'm just intrigued. You know. Gabe is our fighter today. Gabe, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great, Kerry. How are you guys?
Doing wonderful. Are you ready to take on Randy Carricker?
Let's do this. I tried it a long time ago. Let's try it again.
All right, here we go. On this day in 2023, Cardinals made their debuts Max Rocc, Dylan Carlson, and which currently injured Cardinals pitcher? Is it Ryan Helsley, Packy Naughton, or Jake Woodford?
I'm going to say Ryan Helsley.
Who is the only coach in professional football history to lead teams for 40 seasons? Is it Tom Landry, Curly Lambeau, or George Halas?
I'm going to say Lambeau.
When the Cardinals ripped off 17 straight in 2021, only one pitcher picked up more than 2 wins across the streak with 4. Who was it? Was it Alex Reyes, J.A. Happ, or TJ McFarland?
I am going to go with Hap.
Ellie De La Cruz reached 10 home runs and 15 stolen bases in the first 58 games of his career. The only player to debut since 1900 and get there faster was which young Pirate? Andrew McCutcheon, Roberto Clemente, or Barry Bonds?
Ooh, Barry Bonds.
All right, we'll double check our score, and we will bring in Randy Carricker.
Gabe, how you feeling?
You know, honestly, the first three were a couple of guesses, and then the last one, I just saw that stat the other day. I'm pretty sure it was Barry Bonds.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Very good. Glad you knew that one for sure. Randy
worked
Carricker is coming in with his Pepsi Dr. Pepper Zero.
There you go.
Haven't had that one.
Zero sugar.
Dr. Pepper,
Zero
Diet
calories.
Dr. Pepper is the best Dr. Pepper that tastes, the best diet soda that tastes most like the regular soda. I'm assuming that the Zero.
This is just like
it's a
it,
Dr. Pepper cherry Dr. Pepper.
Yep.
Or
So
taste
I
zero.
have my golf tournament to benefit ECH, everychildshope.org, coming up on September 19th. And my friends at Dr. Pepper Keurig always provide the drinks.
Very
and
nice.
they know how much I love their product, and I love them. And so I'm glad that they participate. And by the way, if you want to participate, just go to everychildshope.org, and you can participate in the tournament, too. We've got some openings at Old Hickory on September 19th.
Nice.
Randy, are you ready to take on Gabe? Say hello to Gabe.
Hi, Gabe. Good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Kerry, and thank you, Randy, for fighting me today. I wish you the best of luck, man.
Well, best of luck to you as well. Thank you.
Are you ready, sir?
I'm ready.
All right. On this day in 2023, Cardinals made their debuts, Max Rocc, Dylan Carlson, and which currently injured Cardinals pitcher?
Okay, so you've got Rocc, Carlson, and this was
2020.
2020. I'm guessing it wasn't Raul Ramirez because he's not on the team right now. So this would have been a pandemic pitcher that is on the IL at the moment. Let me just go through some numbers here. Okay, I don't think it's Helsley. It's clearly not Matz. For 53 is Palante's healthy. 52, Liberatore's not hurt. 150. Kerry, just give him a lifeline.
Ryan Helsley.
People will complain. People will
Randy,
complain.
you
I
don't
wanna-
worry about these people.
okay,
Do
yeah.
your thing.
No, it's
but
okay.
I already gave
Yeah,
you one.
you gave me
answer.
one.
All right, Ryan Helsley,
No.
Packy Naughton, Jake Woodford.
I'll go with Woody. I think Helsley was...
Randy, you take as
Before.
much time as you need, sir.
Thank you,
When
Stevie.
you take time, it makes the fight better.
But
for me, for
but
sure.
The whiners, they get me worked up.
Randy, we don't worry about the whiners. We worry about winners.
Oh, okay. Winners, not whiners.
Winners
There we
over
go.
whiners.
Okay.
That's a good motto. Who is the only coach in professional football history to lead teams for 40 seasons?
It's got to be George Hallis. Paul Brown is right there, but I think 37, 47, 57, 67. Paul Brown was not coaching it by 1977. So I am going to go with the founder of the National Football League, former Yankee, preceded George Herman Ruth in the outfield for the Yankees, George Hallis. That George Herman Ruth, a.k.a. Babe.
Oh, the Babe.
Yeah.
Which Cardinals... When the Cardinals ripped off 17 straight in 2021, only one pitcher picked up more than 2 wins across that streak with 4. Who was it?
4 wins in 17 games in 2021. I'm guessing that this was a relief pitcher. And I will go, let's see, 17. Yeah, it had to be a relief pitcher because starter would have had to have, would have only had 3 starts over the course of the 17 or 18 days, 3 or 4 starts. So in that bullpen, Hicksey was hurt. Let's see. Again, I will just go through numbers. Let's see, 23, 24, 25, 48, 47, 46, 45. 40, we didn't have any 45, 44, 40.
Are you going about the roster, the numbers?
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, I realized that too. The first the earlier question, I was like, "Are you kidding me right now?"
When you started at 53, I'm thinking 53-man roster. I went to football automatically.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but doing that with a football roster, like going by number, seems so much more sensible than a
Probably
baseball to me.
I am going to go off the board here with T.J. McFarland. Just because he had that game in Chicago with the wild double play. I'm going with T.J. McFarland. 62, by the way. I didn't get to that number.
Oh. All right. Question number 4. Ellie De La Cruz reached 10 home runs and 15 stolen bases in the first 58 games of his career. The only player to debut since 1900 and get there faster was which young Pirate?
15 homers and... What was it? 15 homers. What was the stat again?
10 home runs,
10
15
homers,
stolen
15
bases.
stolen bases. The only one to get there faster. Well, I am going to go with Barry Bonds. Final answer.
Thank you.
Does Randy roll through 2 different question askers with 2 wins, or am I going to be on the hot? Am I going to be on the hot seat after Randy wins with Bradford and then loses with me? I'm nervous right now, Carrie.
Confuse me.
I'm nervous right now.
Wait a minute. What did you just
2 different questions? Yeah. Okay.
Askers.
Askers, givers, makers. Either way, if Randy loses this one, I'm feeling nervous. Ring that bell.
The winner and still champion of the fight, Randy Carricker.
The fight is presented by Golf Discount of St. Louis, with the most experienced club fitters in town. Why shop anywhere else?
I'm sorry, Gabe, but I'm relieved with that one. But you did lose to Randy in this one, 3-1.
Dadgum. All right. No biggie there, man. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Gabe, thank you very much for playing.
There was such a celebration yesterday when you won, and I was like, okay, this could go poorly for me if he wins tomorrow.
Didn't we have a celebration because was there smack talk yesterday?
Yeah, Alex was. He talked a little bit.
Yeah, he did.
So I'm glad you were able to back it up again. 3-1 win for Randy. Let's go through those answers. On this day in 2020, 3 Cardinals made their debuts. It was Max Rocc, Dylan Carlson, and then Jake Woodford came in a relief appearance. Who was the only coach in professional football history to lead teams for 40 seasons? It is, in fact, George Halas. Number 2 is Curly Lambeau. Then Tom Landry is actually 4th on the list. I'm blanking on number 3 right now.
It wasn't Paul Brown?
Paul Brown is 5th on the list behind Tom Landry. When the Cardinals ripped off 17 straight in 2021, only one pitcher picked up more than 2 wins across the streak. Picking up wins number 1, 4, 8, and 13 in that streak was Alex Reyes.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Wow.
T.J. McFarland did get a win in that streak, though, and he was one of the options. And then Ellie De La Cruz reached 10 home runs and 15 stolen bases in the first 58 games of his career. The only player to debut since 1900 and get there faster was, in fact, Barry Bonds. So a 3-1 win for Randy Carricker in the fight today. Again, Gabe, thank you so much for joining the show and joining the fight today.
Yeah, thank you, guys. You guys are the best. Have a good day.
Thank you, Gabe. We really appreciate you listening.
Good
and
job,
thanks
Randy.
for playing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good
Appreciate
job,
that.
Randy. We don't tell you that enough.
Oh,
You do it so much. We don't give you your praise enough. Good job.
Thank you, brother.
George Halas played for the Yankees before Babe Ruth.
Yes, he did.
That was intriguing.
no
I
idea.
never knew that either.
Yeah. That's a little fun
I think he was their right fielder, right?
thing to add.
Let's just, here we go, baseball reference. George Halas.
Also, when I think of Alex Reyes and the 2021 Cardinals, I just think about that ending and the chaos that ensued afterwards.
Yep.
No, you don't want to think about that? That was painful, Rocc.
1919, George Halas played 12 games, 22 plate appearances, and hit .091.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then what happened after that in 1919? Well, Babe Ruth. That happens. Coming up next, there is a group of fans that the Cardinals are close to right now that you can relate to. We'll tell you why next on 101 ESPN.
The MLB plays on ESPN. Saturday morning, Yankees and Red Sox. Coverage starts.
This is a great time of year to get a celebrity green put in your backyard, courtesy of Clubhouse Turf here in St. Louis. Clubhouse Turf is the exclusive partner of Celebrity Greens here in St. Louis. You saw Max Homa being in the hunt last weekend. He has installed a celebrity green in his backyard, and it's improved his short game. It'll improve yours, whether it's putting or chips or pitches and bunker shots. The only company to call is Clubhouse Turf here in St. Louis. Their number is 314-834-2343, 314-834-2343, and they'll put an incredible synthetic putting green in your backyard, and it'll putt true and give you real grass performance. You'll love it. And in addition to having a great green and a great short game set up in your backyard, you can get in touch with Clubhouse Turf, and they can help you out with synthetic turf installations that include sport turf and playgrounds, pet turf, and lawn turf. It's Celebrity Greens. Again, Clubhouse Turf in St. Louis, their exclusive partner here in town. You can go to clubhouseturf.com or call them today, 314-834-2343. Guys, the Oakland Athletics are in town, and they're the Oakland Athletics for the moment. And their owner, John Lewis, who is, ironically, the richest owner in Major League Baseball, has decided to disassemble the baseball team and not really negotiate with the city in the hopes of moving to another town. Does this sound familiar? That a rich owner would disassemble a team and try to get it to lose so that they could leave for greater economic benefit? Yes, it does. I can really empathize with A's fans because we went through the same thing as Rams fans. And now, as it turns out, the city of Oakland did make an effort, although the A's denied it. The city of Oakland did make an effort to try to keep the A's around, and they were kind of staved off. They were kept at arm's length, the city was, by the A's. It's the exact same thing, the exact same MO that the Rams used to leave St. Louis. And I feel for A's fans because they've shown up in representative numbers when their team has been reasonably competitive. It's a great historic town, actually a much more historic baseball town than St. Louis is a football town. But the exact same thing that happened to us in the middle of the last decade with the NFL is happening right now to Oakland baseball fans.
And I just absolutely hate it. I think it's such a terrible look. And sometimes the perception is, too, where it's like, oh, well, people aren't showing up to games. They haven't been showing up to games in years. Well, what is the product that they've been putting on the field? And what were they purposely doing to make it be something that you wouldn't want to go and attend? And that feels very similar to what happened with the St. Louis Rams, of where they try to control that national perspective where it's like, well, look, nobody's going to the game. They don't even appreciate it. Well, what were you doing purposely to make sure that people weren't coming to the game and not giving them something that they were willing to spend their hard-earned money on?
I think you got to feel bad for the city of Oakland as a whole. I mean, you lost the Raiders. You lost Golden State Warriors, who went across the bridge to San Francisco. That's where their new arena is. And now you got the Athletics about to leave town. The city of Oakland, I mean, when's the last time a city has lost three major sport franchises in I guess, a span of what, 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, nobody's ever done that.
That's so unfortunate and really unfair for that organization, for that city. And this organization, the Athletics, have I mean, this was one of my favorite teams growing up.
Me too.
You got Ricky Henderson, who was one of my favorite players to watch as a young man. Dave Stewart, who we talked about earlier. They had a lot of guys that that resonated with me as a young man playing baseball, watching baseball as a young kid. So I think it's disheartening. It's unfortunate for the city of Oakland, for those Oakland Athletic fans. And again, you lose 3 franchises in that span. That's gotta really sting.
Yeah, and we've also seen too how sports can really reinvigorate an area and really help bring in more revenue. And somebody already texted in, sorry, Randy, you're wrong. I'm from the Bay Area. Oakland is a dump. Crime is horrible in that town. You are wrong.
Well, that doesn't mean you don't deserve a team. That doesn't mean that your team should leave just because crime is bad. It's not like crime isn't bad in the city of St. Louis, but there are a lot of cities with crime that still, and fan bases that still deserve to have a team. And just because there's crime in the area, that doesn't, because that means we wouldn't have sports. If sports were based on the level of crime in an area, Baltimore wouldn't have teams. Cincinnati wouldn't have teams. St. Louis wouldn't have teams. San Francisco wouldn't have teams. So, L.A. wouldn't have teams. New York wouldn't have teams. Chicago wouldn't have teams. If you're going to say that cities that have crime don't deserve sports teams, then you're completely wrong. And if you look at, and I say this with Carrie in the room, but let me find another city for you. Kansas City used to have a real bad crime situation, and they've turned things around. And it's not that crime is completely gone, but now they're talking about building a downtown stadium in Kansas City because they're willing to go back there. I was going to say Cleveland. Cleveland has kind of reinvented itself, and they've done a really good job, and Cleveland's a fun city to go to. And those cities all deserve sports franchises. Oakland deserves sports franchises. And no fan base deserves to have their franchise ripped away.
And when you look at the fabric of what Oakland was, I never played in the Oakland Coliseum or was able to see the black hole, but you know what that meant. I was able to go to a Warriors game in Oracle, and that feeling is much different than the feeling in Chase Arena. It feels newer, it feels nicer, but it doesn't feel like Oakland. It doesn't feel like what that city represents. And so now you got the Oakland Athletics. Again, obviously they need stadium upgrades and have been needing them, but it's unfortunate that this team is about to leave, that this city, that this organization is leaving, and this city is losing 3 major sports franchises in that time, in that much time.
And Brooke, 2 quick things. Number 1, John Fisher, their owner, as I mentioned, he could afford to invest heavily in a stadium, and there's a spot there that the A's have talked about, but they just don't want to invest heavily in building a stadium there. And the other thing is, for you, Carrie, it was Ricky and Jose Canseco and McGuire and Stewart and Welsh and Eckersley and those guys. For me as a kid, it was Reggie Jackson and Sal Bando and Catfish Hunter and Vida Blue.
Right.
I mean, we all have our iterations of great Oakland A's teams, and that entire history is just going to be wiped away.
And by the way, just something else to follow, because this was news that came out this weekend, is that the Brewers possibly also losing.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be tough. So this could possibly be the 3rd time that Milwaukee has lost 2 Major League Baseball teams. Of course, we know in 1902 the Brewers moved to St. Louis, and then you had the Braves relocation, and what was that, 1960 something, 66?
I think it was later, maybe 68, 69.
Okay,
yeah.
But either way,
the Braves were there in the 50s, early 60s. They left. Yeah, you're right. In 66, and then the Brewers came 3 years later.
Yeah, Seattle Pilots for 69, and then or 67, and they get here in like 68.
And I just think that would be such a huge loss for Milwaukee. We're talking about getting things stripped away from you. I think it's crazy because it seems about like the redoing the stadium, and I've been there. I didn't think that it was anything egregious, or that I feel like it was recently updated.
It's about owners and money. It always boils down to money. And you talked about it, Randy, when the Rams left and there was an owner that said he would pay for the entire stadium. That meant that cities shouldn't have to pay or put forth money towards stadiums. But owners understand, hey, you're either going to pay for this stadium, you're going to assist with this stadium, or we'll find somewhere else to play. We'll find another city. So you really put the cities and the people in those cities in a difficult position because they don't want their organizations to leave. They don't want their franchise to leave. Again, they imagine growing up in Oakland and being able to see all of those teams for 162 games every year. That is a difference than you or I just watching them from afar. So it's unfortunate that fans are the ones getting, I guess, the short end of the stick on this one because they are the ones that pay their money to watch. They're the ones that spend their time and their energy and their fandom, supersedes most things, and they're the ones really getting screwed in this whole thing.
So if you're at the ballpark tonight or tomorrow and you see some A's fans, empathize with them. Say, we've been there and we're rooting for you. Hopefully a miracle will happen.
Instead of punch a Reds fan, it's hug a A's fan.
Hug an A's fan.
There
right.
we go.
And it was Red Wings fan. I never had anything.
Yes.
Nothing against
Brandon,
Reds fans. Brandon Phillips. I like Brandon Phillips.
Until he tapped Yachty's shin guards.
Yeah, right. He got a little fight. But he was...
The hell was he thinking?
Brandon Phillips was... Yeah, right. What was... did you not see the neck tats? Hello? But Brandon Phillips is the kind of guy that you love having on your side.
I can see that.
Yeah.
He just was on the other side. And
he was on the other side.
I didn't agree with him.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Yeah. That's Kerry. That's Brooke. I'm Randy. And this is 101 ESPN. Coming up, our rush hour reset. Claves will join us, by the way, at 9:15 here on 101 ESPN. There's nothing like providing a great home-cooked meal for your family. And the best thing to do is to start at Schnucks. And if your family, for example, is let's say that they're a steak family, head on over to Schnucks, go to the great butcher at Schnucks, and get yourself a few steaks. Maybe go to the frozen food section, get some tater tots, get some glorious fresh broccoli from the produce section. And then when you get to the checkout line, use your Schnucks Rewards app and pay yourself back for buying that food for your family. You earn 2% back on every single purchase when you go to Schnucks. It's simple. Shop, earn, redeem. Now, one of the things I like to do when I go to Schnucks is I put my list in my app, and then whatever Schnucks store I'm in, the app will actually guide me to the next aisle that I need to go to so that I can have a quick and efficient shopping experience and I don't need to go back and forth across the store. It really is amazing what they have in the app. Just download the Schnucks Rewards app and you can shop directly if you want. If you just want to have Schnucks delivered to your home or if you want to pick it up curbside, you can do that as well with the Schnucks Rewards app. Download it today. Make a meal for your family, a great home-cooked meal for your family, and get it started at Schnucks. It is 9:04 in St. Louis. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler with Brooke Grimsley and Super Bowl champion Kerry Davis. I'm Randy Carricker. How'd the Jets do? Or the Jets? I'm reading Jets. How'd the Steelers do in the first preseason game?
They won 27-17.
All right.
Yeah,
Mason
Steelers.
Rudolph appearance, as you talked about.
Yeah. Calvin Austin. Let's talk about him.
I thought that was a little bit of a cheap shot yesterday, Kerry.
No, a cheap shot was what Myles Garrett did to him. Calvin Austin is a burner. Okay. And I hope that Matt Canada throws the ball down the middle, throws the ball deeper, doesn't just throw, intermediate routes to Deontay Johnson. George Pickens is a man amongst men.
Okay,
Kenny Pickett, Kenny Two Gloves.
And we'll get to the Cardinals in a moment, but does Kenny Pickett have a strong enough arm to throw deep to a burner?
I think so.
Okay.
You know what? So it's not always, sometimes it's about releasing the ball early enough to get it out there. You don't have to be because some of those guys that are 80-yard deep threat throwers don't necessarily always have the accuracy or, hell, don't have a guy that can get that damn deep. So
right.
I think Kenny Pickett's arm is strong enough to get it to where it needs to get to. George Pickens, you throw it in his vicinity, he's going to go catch the football. I'm intrigued to see what they do with Najee Harris. Are they how they try to run him this year? I hate the lateral runs. You're 6 foot, whatever, 200+ pounds, 220+ pounds. Get me going north and south. Let my shoulders stay square, and I will be able to make jump cuts and move and do whatever I need to do going this way.
There's a fullback talking.
Yes, sir.
By the way, over the weekend, I was listening to Sirius XM, and they started playing Renegade, and I thought of you and turned it up super loud.
Hey, that is that song. Whew, let me tell you, you gotta witness that in real time in Pittsburgh. Third quarter, defense is on the field, need a stop. It really hits different.
We want to go there in December when they play the New England Patriots. Cardinals won last night 7-5 over the Oakland Athletics. Cardinals took the lead on a Paul Goldschmidt homer in the fifth inning. They were up 3-2, fell behind. I'm not even going to mention the pitcher's name. They fell behind 5-3.
It doesn't matter.
No, got close on the bases. Yeah, and that nameless pitcher allowed the lead to get away. Newt took a bases-loaded walk, and the Nutty Neuters of Newt Nation went crazy as the Cardinals got within a run. And then, with the bases loaded, Jordan Walker with this.
In the right center. That ball is driven deep, and it is down. It's to the wall. 1 run scores, 2 score. The bases are cleared. Into third base is Jordan Walker. The Cardinals take the lead 7-5.
Tom Ackerman the call on Bally Sports last night. The Cardinals got 6 1/3 good innings out of Miles Mikolas. That guy came in and pitched 2/3 of an inning and allowed a bunch of runners.
You don't say his name.
And then Chris Vonderhaag came on with 2/3 of an inning, and then Joe Romero or Romero.
Yo-Yo
Romero.
I suggest we just call him Yoho Romero.
An inning.
I did see somebody say Yoho.
We should just call him Yoho Romero.
That makes sense. Good. He goes an inning in the third, 2 strikeouts, and Yoho got the win. Cardinals beat the A's 7-5. Tonight, the Cardinals will send Dakota Hudson to the mound. He'll be opposed by TBD for OAK.
That's just dangerous. for the
Well,
Cards.
because, then you don't know what to expect.
No.
Do you think there's a level of frustration for Miles Mikolas when you go out and perform, and then your bullpen doesn't quite? They don't show up.
I think so.
Hey, that's their job. Keep your door closed. Even if it's cracked, you gotta close it.
Yeah, and we'll talk to Claves about this because I was listening on the radio last night and they were talking about how the game is here, the game is now. This is why this is why this guy's in the game.
Why won't you say his name?
Yeah, get a save. Get a hold. Something. Oh, by the way, the Cardinals, with that victory now, are tied for 4th in the division. And here come the Cardinals.
Oh, no. When's the last time we played that?
The Cardinals are coming?
Yeah.
It's been a minute.
It has been a while.
Minute, yeah.
Before the All-Star break?
I
don't think we played it after the All-Star break.
We definitely didn't play it after. Well, no, I think we did play it after they said they were selling. But not since they sold.
No.
That has not happened.
Well, we did have some people text in yesterday that the season is not done. But you guys were talking about Miles Mikolas. Did you hear what Ollie said last night? Because I thought it was a good question by Derek Gould, just asking if it was deja vu with how things went with the Rays and Miles Mikolas. And Derek asked Ollie about it, and this is what he had to say.
Yeah, more pitches, not as sharp. I told you before, in Tampa, I wish I would have left him in there just to see what would have happened. I felt like Gio, that's his spot to come in there and do his job. You're over 100 pitches. He's starting to get tired. He'll tell you the same. That's Gio's spot to come in and shut it down. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to. The guys picked him up, though.
Yeah, the exact same reflection that we had after the game in Tampa. And we were first guesses, right? Why are you taking him out after 80 pitches? And he, I'm sure, slept on it and heard people talking about it and reflected and said, I wish I would have done it differently. That takes a big manager to say, I wish I would have done it differently.
Yes.
Yeah. I think it makes a lot of sense. And you learn from your mistakes. He's still a young manager. He's still a second year, still learning things, figuring things out, learning when to trust his guys. His guys have to be, I believe his guys have to be more vocal at times. And in that situation, Miles Mikolas should have told him, hey, man, get the hell away from me. With all due respect. I have an immense amount of respect for you, Ali. Go the hell away.
And you know what? I agree with that. But Miles Mikolas is such a team player.
He is.
That my understanding is he came back in the dugout and said, thanks, I didn't want to face Diaz again. When we all know he wanted to face Diaz again.
No.
And that's great that Miles is that way because he is a team player, and that's what he does. You've seen him kind of just take that approach where he's not going to throw anybody really under the bus. You saw that Wilson Contreras situation, how he was sticking up for him, and even with those comments where in his post-game comments after that, he was fine with getting taken out of the game. He said he understood it. He wasn't angry or upset. He's just very chill about it and just is a team-first guy.
Cardinals and the A's again tonight, and you'll see that game on Bally Sports. That is your Rush Hour Reset. Coming up, our friend Mike Claiborne from ClavesOnline.com and the Cardinal broadcast. He and Rick Horton are working together on the Cardinal broadcast for this series. Claves joins us next on 101 ESPN. Hey, if you are thinking about selling your home in the St. Louis area and you don't really have an idea of where you're going with it, I need you to get in touch with my friend Gloria Liu of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And here's why you should call Gloria Liu, because her name is her promise, Your Home Sold Guaranteed. And that says it all, doesn't it? Gloria's mastered the home selling promise by guaranteeing upfront and in writing to sell your home at your agreed to price and time frame, or she'll buy it herself, and that's guaranteed. Your agent doesn't compare to that. Gloria has solutions for every type of home seller. For sellers who want a fast sale with no hassles, well, Gloria's 24-hour cash offer solution is a great option to consider. There are no showings, no costly repairs, and you pick the closing date. You always get the highest cash offer bid from Gloria's database of buyers in what she calls her cash offer bid box. She's the best in town, so if you're considering selling, call Gloria Liu at 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. That's GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. It's always great to talk to Mike Claiborne. Always good to listen to Mike Claiborne on the Cardinal broadcast as they take on the Athletics this week at the ballpark. And when we have Mike Claiborne on Tuesdays, it's one of my favorite segments of the week. And he's with us now on the Celebrity Line. Claibs, good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing well, especially after last night's game.
Yeah,
I was a little concerned.
Yeah, that one could have gotten away, and I was telling the guys I was listening to you and Ricky in the seventh, and well, what did you start talking about? You started talking about Mark McGwire wearing number 25 to distract yourself from what was going on the field.
Yeah, I mean, things weren't going in the right direction, and so I looked down, and they have a guy wearing 25, and I thought McGwire was So I just want to start talking about that because I was afraid of what was about to happen. Okay?
And then it did.
Because, Oakland's only won 33 games this year, all right? And I think sometimes they probably have won when teams have taken their eye off the ball. They have some good players, but they just don't have enough developed players. And, those are teams that scare you, man. I mean, and the way we've been playing, we play well against good competition. It's the teams like Oakland that we have a problem with. And that was a little bit of a concern. So, fortunately, they had a guy wearing McGuire's old number, and that got me through the inning.
That's a great approach. Claves, I wanted to ask about John Mozeliak talking to media members yesterday, obviously about Steven Matz, but also on the offseason needs. And, of course, pitching is something that he spoke about over and over again. But he said something specifically about adding 3 starters this offseason. How do you interpret that? Do you see that as 3 starters like shopping or via trade outside the organization or maybe some inside? What do you think that he means by that?
Well, I think that it's going to be a combination of evaluating what's in your organization, moving some assets in order to acquire an established pitcher, and there's going to be a free agent pitcher out there that they may kick the tires on. The free agent market isn't as plentiful as one might think. I know people say, well, what about Nola? Nola's a guy who's a workhorse. He gives you 200 innings, but you have to wonder how much are you going to pay him for what he's done or what he can do? And I think that's where teams get themselves jammed up, where they spend money on a guy who had a really good run with another team. And then when you get your hands on him, maybe he's not as good as he used to be. And I always look at a guy like Chris Sale, who everybody thought was the flavor of the month. And they went out, Boston went out and spent a small fortune on him, and it just hasn't worked out because he's had a lot of injuries. So I think you have to be careful, and you probably want to have too much pitching, in my opinion, if there is such a thing. The Cardinals went into this season thinking they had enough, but it was all internal. And I think you have to make sure you bring in some people from outside the organization because the dynamics of pitching is changing where we used to be a pitch-to-contact team. Just hit it on the ground. We have plenty of guys that can catch it. Well, swing and miss is back, and you might want to have 2 or 3 of those guys around who can get you a strikeout or get them to hit it on the ground to a good defender.
Clay, we were talking about Tyler O'Neill and Dylan Carlson earlier, and it seems like when one is healthy, one is injured, the other one is healthy, the other one is injured, or they're both injured. What do you see their future as being for the St. Louis Cardinals in 2024?
Well, that's a good question. I think they're going to listen. I think teams will make offers. I don't know how much stock they have at this point because, as you mentioned, they've been injured a lot. I think they're both really good players. The question is, can they help you be better? Or better yet, can they help somebody else be better? And if they can, what's the cost going to be for you to be able to get somebody from another organization? So, the question is, you have to ask yourself the question, can they stay healthy enough for us to win? That's the first question. Second question is, what is their role? Are they everyday players? Are they fourth outfielders? What are the expectations when you write down what their number should be for a whole season?
Claibs, last year the Cardinals drafted Victor Scott II. He, this year in minor league baseball, between A and AA Springfield, is hitting .295, 763 OPS, but 74 stolen bases. So 1985, we had Vince Coleman come up and set the world on fire. 2025, is that a guy you're hearing about for the Cardinals to come up and set the world on fire?
Well, I think he's a guy that probably trends toward where the game is going. When a guy steals that many bases, the first thing you say, well, can he get on base enough in order to do that? I always think about Billy Hamilton, who was a very good base stealer, but Billy Hamilton couldn't steal first, and hence the reason he wasn't as effective as you would have thought he was going to be. But, yeah, I think you have to look at him. You drafted him. You didn't draft him to make sure the Pittsburgh Pirates were going to play him. I think you have to draft him in thinking that he could be part of your future. This game, the way we play it now, is a young man's game. And if you bring the skill set to what we've seen initially, and that could change, as he ascends through the organization. But on the surface, it looks like he may have some added value that the Cardinals don't have on a regular basis.
And Claib's one of the things I love. I've never seen him play, but he's got this year a .295 batting average, but a .367 on base. He's walked 37 times this year with both Peoria and Springfield. So he's getting on base without the benefit of a hit, which is something a lot of those speedsters like Vince or like Billy Hamilton haven't had the ability to do.
Yeah, that's a good point, Randy. We saw him a little bit in spring training. He got in some games, and he's a slight guy. He's not a big guy. So you have to wonder, will he physically develop as he grows through the organization? But, for the fact that he's willing to take a walk and get on, I think that's a plus for him because, obviously if he can steal bases. And it'll be interesting to see what sort of tutelage he gets once he solidifies himself in Double-A. I don't know who the Cardinals base running coach is or, a guy who can go in and say, hey, look, these are the things you ought to be paying attention to when it comes to stealing bases. Because for all we know, he's just maybe just as a raw base stealer without the technology that comes with it. One of the things about Lou Brock and Vince Coleman, they created base stealing and turned it into a science.
Yep.
They really had this thing calculated to a point where I remember Willie McGee saying his first spring training with the Cardinals, because as you remember, they picked him up in '82. He said Lou Brock came out to spring training with a clipboard and a tape measure and a stopwatch. And Willie thought he was going to an algebra class at that point. Nobody comes out and talks about, the scientific element of how to steal bases. And Vince Coleman was the same way. If you ever talk base stealing with Vince Coleman, I guarantee you will walk away saying, wow, I just thought it was all about, trying to get from first to second. So you have to hope that somewhere within the organization there's a developmental coach that can give him the tools to make his game even more effective.
That's a really cool story. Just wanted to go back to pitching real quick, specifically, with the bullpen. As we saw last night, Giovanni Gallegos coming in, that was not an ideal situation for him, but Jojo Romero being a bright spot that we were talking about earlier in the show. How do you think the Cardinals will address the bullpen going into next season?
Oh, I think there's some openings out there. I don't say this is a lockdown bullpen because of all the blown saves that we've seen this year. I think there's at least 3 to 4 spots open out there for next year. Last night, and we've seen this before, where Gallegos is normally your closer, but I felt, and I'm sure Ali did too, the game was really on the line in the 7th inning. It goes back to being a fireman. What we used to see with Al Robosky, Randy, where Al would come in the 7th inning with 2 out and get that guy and then come back and finish out the game. Mm-hmm. I think we're trending in that direction again, where don't think you can't use your best relief pitcher always in the 9th inning. Sometimes he's going to have to put out the fire, and sometimes he's going to have to get a 4-out save or maybe a 5-out save. But because all games are not decided in the 9th inning, 7th inning, 8th inning, you better have some other people who can do that. Fortunately, the 1-2 combination of Jojo Romero and Giovanni Gallegos has worked. Gio hasn't been as good as I know he'd like to be over the last couple of outings, but when he's right, he's a pretty effective pitcher.
Clay, Dakota Hudson getting the start tonight, and we were talking earlier about, this 5th starter going into 2024. I think it's between him, Liberatore, and Zach Thompson. Do you think that he's still in their plans? Because if he wasn't, wouldn't they be bringing up a Graceffo or McGreevy to get those guys some opportunities late down the season?
Well, I think one of the reasons why you probably don't see them is because there's no spot for them on the 40-man roster. That means you'd have to move with some other people. And that could happen. I mean, we're seeing some teams designate some guys on the big league roster to create room for a 40-man spot. But I think that has a lot to do with it also on why we haven't seen those guys as much because of the 40-man roster situation and making sure you have a spot for them. Overall, I think that Dakota Hudson is going to be in the conversation. I think he's certainly accounted for himself reasonably well since he's been back with the team. He was not effective at the beginning of the year in spring training, and he went down to the minors and honed his skill, and I think he's given them a very good accounting of what he's capable of doing.
Claibs, I've taken the approach with Dakota Hudson, and I love the results, but I tell people consume him without watching him. Just look at the box score at the end of the game because it's a roller coaster ride. If you're going to watch him, he's a pitch maker. He's going to allow some walks. He's going to allow some hits. There's going to be people on base, and he's going to make pitches. But if you don't want to be nervous and you just want to end the day with a performance where you have a chance to win, watch it. Well, take it in that way.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it, Randy. One of the things about the resurgence of Hudson, Liberatore, Matt, they're not walking anybody. Mm-hmm. And that was the bugaboo for all 3 of them. They have command problems, but so far their last few outings, if you look at their walk total, has been way down compared to what we've seen in the past. And I was saying to Ali the other day, it's amazing how much fun the game is for a pitcher when he throws strikes, and we're seeing that a lot more. And hopefully these guys can build on it for 2 reasons. Either to be part of this rotation for next year or be in a deal to go out and get somebody better. You always want to window dress your guys and give them the positive exposure. So if another team wants to kick the tires on, they have enough of a sample size to say this guy can help us.
Absolutely. Claims, what's going on?
They're all not going to be back next year.
You're right about that. No doubt.
I think if anybody thinks everybody's going to be back next year, you're sadly mistaken. There's going to be some movement within this roster.
Yeah. Claims, what do you got going on at Claims Online?
Well, today we're going to have lunch with Claims and Joe. We normally do it on Monday, but something came up yesterday, so we'll have that today. Dr. Rick Lehman and his podcast with Rammer is coming up as well. Thursday, we'll have a walk in the fairway with Nick Ragone and talk about the world of golf. And the Ascension Charity Golf Classic is just around the corner. And next week, we premiere Huddle Up with Howard Richards, and we'll be talking some NFL. And we'll have to try and strong-arm Kerry Davis to be part of that podcast as well down the road, because I know it's his time of the year as well. So we've got a few things going on, and we're just having some fun, man, just trying to give people enough content where you can push a button and find a sport that you like. So that's what we have coming up.
That's beautiful. And, Mike, one other thing with the A's in town, and Kerry and I were talking about it. Kerry grew up watching the Bash Brothers in that edition of the A's. You and I grew up with the Dynasty in the early 70s and obviously enjoyed the late 80s, early 90s. How sad it is that franchise is at the point that it is right now, and it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, you know what, Randy, you're right. I think the A's were trendsetters in a lot of different ways. They were one of the first teams you heard that had some clubhouse issues where guys were fighting in the clubhouse. You didn't hear that in the past. They were the first guys that wore their hair long and had the well-fashioned mustaches. They were the first team to wear white shoes, and everybody was wearing conventional black shoes.
Mm-hmm.
The uniforms themselves were different, a different color than anyone else. And then you move on to the Bash Brother era. I mean, we'd never seen two guys mash like that. Now we learned later in life there was a reason why. But overall, they were Peck's bad boys as far as baseball was concerned for a lot of different reasons. And to see them fall on hard times as they have is just unfortunate. And I hope if they elect to move, and it certainly appears that they are, that they can carry some tradition to Las Vegas and rejuvenate that organization. Maybe an ownership change wouldn't hurt either, because the current ownership group has done very little to really help this ball club compete. I think their payroll is like $57 million. I mean, come on, that's embarrassing. With regard to how teams, you have players in the NBA that make more than that in a season.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So, I hope that they can turn it around, because the game always needs healthy franchises. We don't need doormats, and the A's have become the league's doormat. They're on course to lose 117 games. That's unheard of. As I said last night, that's the one team photograph you do not want to be on. Hey, I was on that team, 117 losses. You don't want to be in that team photograph. I'm sure when they took the team photo, like every team does after the trade deadline, if that was me, I probably would have come up with the flu that day, or I think maybe COVID may be on the horizon, so you don't want me around for that photograph.
Exactly. Claves, as always, thanks for the time. We appreciate it. We'll see you later.
All right. Hey, Brooke, congratulations for the Emmy nomination. I meant to say that earlier. Really proud
thank
of
you,
and,
Claves.
Hopefully you'll have some hardware somewhere down the road.
Yeah, definitely down the road, because the competition is very, very intense.
Yeah.
For this year's Emmy nomination.
We'll go out and celebrate the nomination. Carrie will pick up the tab.
There we go.
There we go.
I
Good.
like that idea. Thank you, Claves.
All right.
Thanks, Mike.
You guys have a great week. Take care.
All right. Thank you, Michael. Coming up, we're going to get some of your reaction to our question earlier. How would you feel about the Cardinals going into 2024 with Miles Mikolas as their best pitcher? Taking nothing away from Miles, who's excellent, but how would you feel about the perception of him being your best guy going into next year? That's next on 101 ESPN.
Football season is quickly approaching, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to win all season long. Because right now, when you bet on a Super Bowl winner, you can get bonus bets every time they win in the regular season.
Yeah, Brooke, just pick any team to win the Super Bowl, and you'll get bonus bets for every victory. You all know I'm going to go with my Pittsburgh Steelers.
Well, I got to go with my Tennessee Titans with the addition of DeAndre Hopkins. Whew.
Well, guys, it's been 13 years since Aaron Rodgers won a Super Bowl. It's been a minute, so he needs to win this year with the Jets. They haven't won a Super Bowl in more than a half century. Jets, Jets.
You can use your bonus bets on spreads, player props, over-unders, and more.
And I'll tell you what, you get all of that cool stuff when you visit FanDuel.com/drive and start earning bonus bets with America's #1 sports book, FanDuel.com/drive. Must be 21 plus and present in Illinois. First online real money wager only. $10 deposit required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bet that expires in 7 days. Max bonus bet, $50 unless specified otherwise. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This is Rocc with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals yesterday with a 7-5 win over the Oakland A's. They will go for win number 2 in this series tonight. 6:45 first pitch. Dakota Hudson on the bump for the Cardinals, 3-0 with a 4.31 ERA across 31 1/3 inning pitch so far this year. The Oakland A's starter to be determined still so far this morning. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff. Find your road and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4.
On the opening drive, 101 ESPN, Brooke, Carrie, and Randy, and you. How would you feel about Miles Mikolas being thought of as your best pitcher heading into next season? And remember, we all thought at the beginning of this year that Jack Flaherty would bounce back and be at least something close to what he had been in 2019 or 2021. And we had, I think, most of us, I was impressed by what Jordan Montgomery had delivered for the Cardinals. So I thought Mikolas would be in that group. I looked at Mikolas as maybe a number 3. Now, has he earned number 1 status? Probably not. Even though we like him as our number 1, he's 43rd in WAR among Major League starting pitchers. You probably want something above that if you're going to be a championship-type team. So what would you think of that? Derek has a mic drop for us here on 101 ESPN.
There's no reason Miles Mikolas should be your number 1 starter. It's time for Mozeliak to spend a little money, go out, get some free agents. I know times are tough, but we can't be getting great value brand anymore. Time to get some name brand stuff. You got to get Snell. You got to get Nola. You got to have one of them to be comfortable going into next year. It's starting to be a joke. You don't want to spend money. You're always coming up second to these guys in free agency. Oh, we could have had them, but nah, we didn't want to spend that much. Well, it's time to buck up. Otherwise, there's going to be no Mo in St. Louis.
Oh, he had a lot of lines.
Yeah,
the great value. I love that one. I'm going to steal that one because that was amazing. The No Mo. I love that.
Great. Now, I will say that I think it's incumbent upon the Cardinals not just to spend a lot of money, but to spend smartly.
Yes, because we saw what happened, right? When you spend a lot of money, it doesn't guarantee wins. Just look at the Padres and the Mets, specifically the Mets.
Totally.
You have to find that fine line of guys that complement your team, guys that really become a team together, not just because you spent a lot of money, but there are good teammates that you don't have to spend a lot of money on. But then there are guys you got to go spend money on because it doesn't matter who's on the team. They're going to be the best player. So you have to figure out how to construct your roster with guys that understand their roles, whether that be a number 2, a number 3, a 4, or 5. And then you got guys that you can plug and play, and they don't need to be everyday players that can be on your bench, role players. But then you have to spend the money like you did with Nolan Arenado, like you did with Paul Goldschmidt. Those guys have to be paid. Then you find other pieces that you can, whether it be bringing young guys up into the fold or whether it's going out and signing those guys and understanding they understand their role.
Let's hear now from friend of the station, Janet, with a mic drop.
I can tell you what Mo's going to get. 3 low-hanging fruits, and they're going to be not just adequate pitchers. They're not going to be as good as what we have. When he says he's going to go get 3 pitchers, I don't trust him to get 3 good pitchers. He don't have to get 3 good pitchers. He has to get 1 excellent pitcher that everybody else thinks is excellent, not something that he grabs off of the low-hanging fruit tree.
I agree with that.
We clap that. Janet's always.
That's
always
the thing.
spot on.
The words, what's said, it matters. And so, yeah, you want to go get three pitchers. You want to go get 3 starters. But what does that mean? What does that look like? Is that an ace and then a 2 and a 5? Is that an ace and a 2 and a 3? Or is that 3 4s? Like, what are those guys? Who are those guys that you have intentions on going to pick up via free agency or trade? That is the question. And I think you can oftentimes get away with your comments. Well, I said we were going to go get 3 pitchers. You didn't say which type of 3 pitchers. Are you actively trying to spend in free agency on a number 1 pitcher? Are you actively trying to trade someone on this roster for a number one pitcher. Is that what we're doing? Or, again, as Janet said, are you reaching for low-hanging fruit?
Well, and if I can get a Nola or a Snell or an Urias and then trade for Dylan Cease, if I can get a 1 and a 1A, and I will give up a lot. I will do something that hurts me to still get Dylan Cease. I'll still do it, even though I saw Shane McClanahan. He's going to have Tommy John and probably miss next year, and he's one of the guys I would have taken. And I probably wouldn't take Glass now at this point. But if I, yeah, I'm with you, CD. I'm not talking about 2 number 3s. I'm talking about 2 number 1s.
Is Logan Gilbert on that list as well? Because I think a trade to the Mariners might be.
I just feasible. Hate the matchup with the Mariners, because what the Mariners are going to need is Nolan Gorman.
No question. So are the Chicago White Sox.
Right. Now, but I look at Cease as a legitimate, because of what he's done, number 1. Gilbert might be. I don't think Gilbert will ever be number 1 on his own team. I don't think that they'll have him ahead of Castillo or Kirby in Seattle. Now, he might emerge to be that guy, but I haven't seen enough of him. Now, will I give up some valuable assets? Would I? Because they're going to probably lose Teoscar Hernandez. They're still going to need a second baseman / third baseman, but they're going to need an outfielder too. And they're going to have 7 potential starting pitchers. They've got starting pitching depth in Seattle.
The Cardinals need for Tyler O'Neill to stay healthy for the rest of the season, because there could be a situation where Tyler O'Neill, Brendan Donovan, and maybe one of those pitchers that they covet in the minor leagues could go to somewhere like a Seattle for a Logan Gilbert if Tyler O'Neill is healthy and playing at an MVP level.
And I hope Brendan Donovan will be able to pass a physical by December.
Yes, I think him getting the surgery, going ahead and getting that out of the way, because it was concerning me how long it was taking everybody to get to the point of where he was going to get the surgery. Now it seems like he could be in line to be ready by next spring training, or at least around that area. And going back to pitchers I want, Julio Urias is just a guy that I just keep, now that I'm looking more and more into it. He had a great game the other day, striking out 12, I believe, in like 7 innings of work. He's somebody that I could definitely see the Cardinals.
26, correct, or 27?
Yes. I think he's 26 or 27, but yes, young. So definitely different than some of the 30-year-olds.
Yeah, he would be something to have if you could acquire Julio Urias.
I think the Cardinals got a little pocket of money they could give us. We can go make some things happen. You and I.
Yeah, well, we're recruiters.
Urias just turned 27 on August 12th.
There you go. He's a Leo. Good for him.
Celebrate your birthday here.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Coming up, we've got Rock and Roll here on 101 ESPN. My favorite lunch spot is the Fenton Bar and Grill on Rudder Road in Fenton. You can find them on the web at fentonbarandgrill.com, and you'll find me in there once, twice a week, and I love the people there. The servers are the best in town. Alicia and Kelly and Megan are fantastic. Colleen and Jamie. It's a great group of people that you'll enjoy talking to. The manager, Chuck, is terrific. He's a huge sports fan. They always have sports up on the numerous televisions in Fenton Bar and Grill. And if you want to get together with buddies to watch a game, if you want to get together at a big table, maybe have a fantasy football draft, Fenton Bar and Grill is a great place to go. If you're getting together for a business lunch or just a lunch with friends, maybe a lunch after a round of golf or a late lunch, maybe a dinner, great place for weekends too. It's the Fenton Bar and Grill. Try their trash wings. They're the best in town. You will absolutely fall in love with their trash wings, and you'll go back again and again and again. But they have great burgers, great sandwiches, great wraps. As a matter of fact, I believe the Fenton Bar and Grill is going to stop by here at the station tomorrow, and we're looking forward to that. And we'll show it to you on the YouTube. But if you want to have a great lunch today, go to Fenton Bar and Grill. Learn more at fentonbarandgrill.com. Tell them Randy sent you.
I want to rock! And roll.
Let's rock. Let's rock today.
Okay, we really like this place called the Trolley Track.
Oh my gosh.
Just if you have the YouTube on, just look at Brooke right now as she eats her French silk pie.
I'm like in heaven right now. This is insane.
Trolley Track Cookie Company.
Carrie has self-discipline. He only had one bite.
Yeah.
I don't. So
Yeah. That's why I said I was going to stay out of there, because once I start, I don't stop. That's my problem. As long as I don't start, I'm okay.
I think Brooke just fell in love.
Oh my gosh. It's so good. It's amazing. And I already had a Belgian waffle. I hate myself right now.
I love the honesty. It feels so good and so bad at the same time.
It's just a cheat day.
No,
I did that this weekend already.
No, weekends are always cheat days, right, Randy?
No,
I thought weekends were
that's
always
not how
cheat
that
days.
works.
Yeah, weekends are always cheat days. That doesn't count. You know, a weekday cheat day.
Randy, we gotta get past your birthday week. We love you, but your birthday week is gonna cost us.
It is.
Louise.
Because I even yesterday, kid you not, yesterday, I went and did an intense like Stairmaster workout because I was like, all right, this is it. I'm going to be good from here on out. And then here I am today.
Playing for the tie.
Yeah.
All right, what do we got for the rock and roll?
Well, speaking of things that make Brooke happy, she posted this yesterday on her Twitter, and I wanted everyone else to hear.
On the X.
We've already heard. I'm not doing. No,
X.
I'm not calling it that. Nope. I'm not calling it X.
Get it together.
It was on Twitter, and Brooke retweeted this, and I thought, you know what? We already heard one call one way for Mr. Jordan Walker's first ever triple, but let's hear a fun call the other way.
3 bolas, 2 strikes, 2 outs, casa llena. El lanzamiento para Walker, batazo elevado, jardín central derecho, la pelota sigue volando, va por ella el jardinero, se le cae el guante, viene una, vienen 2, viene 3, va para la tercera Walker y los Cardenales milagrosamente se van arriba en el marcador aquí en la séptima entrada. 3 carreras de una línea poderosa que salió del bat de Jordan Walker, 7-5 ahora el marcador.
Brooke, let's put a wall up in front of you.
And that's what I tweeted out. I tell Polo Asensio, Cardinals Spanish broadcaster, as you just heard there, and we have our Balk About It podcast where we talk about baseball, obviously. I tell him all the time that when I listen to his calls, I should have paid attention in Spanish class more, but also, too, whatever he's saying, I'm ready to run through a brick wall after hearing that.
It's great, isn't it?
Yes. It's intense, the energy. I feel like as the moment's escalating, his voice escalates, too. It's amazing.
Great.
Yes.
That was a great call of Jordan Walker's bases clearing triple.
It's always so much fun, and at this point I got to ask, when's the next time we get to hear a Balk About It?
We got to come up with one soon. I need to text him, actually.
All right.
Yeah.
I've been enjoying the new podcast.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun on Bach about it. We talk about things. We try to stay on track as much as possible, but it can go everywhere. But we do have our latest episode on there, and we discuss the trade deadline. So
good deal.
A lot of interesting stuff.
You guys mentioned it earlier, but I had to retouch on just the story that had me going crazy yesterday, which was the Michael Orr story and everything going on in that one. And the thing that jumped out the most to me that I can't get over is the fact that they never adopted him, and they had him sign a conservatorship, which obviously a word that's kind of become a buzzword in public lately because of the Britney Spears situation, and just the fact that they had him sign the conservatorship 3 months after he turned 18, which means he didn't need his own lawyer to make sure, because he was obviously at that point you're not a minor anymore. You can sign those kind of papers on your own. The fact that they had him sign it then, and the fact that everyone the parents and the two kids got, is reported, $225,000 payouts from the movie, and he got
$250,000.
I thought it was $225,000.
And then also a percentage. It was also a percentage too.
You're right.
Yeah, 225 and 2%.
Yes.
And obviously the movie did great in home releases, $300 million in the box office,
2.5%.
plus all those home releases. He apparently got nothing. When this broke, it ruined one of the great stories from the last decade of football. It ruined one of my favorite books when it comes to sports writing, the Michael Lewis book that came out obviously before the movie did, and it shocked me that it was that blatant that they got him to sign the conservatorship 3 months after his 18th birthday. Which, again, that jumps out to me because
that's Michael Orr's side of the story.
That's true.
Here's what Sean Toohey says. He said the whole ordeal went down because the NCAA told him that if Orr wanted to go to Ole Miss and he was a booster at Ole Miss, he'd have to be considered part of the family due to Toohey's status as a booster at the school. He said, I sat Michael down and told him, if you're planning to go to Ole Miss or even considering Ole Miss, we think you have to be part of the family. This would do that legally. He continued, we contacted lawyers who had told us that we couldn't adopt over the age of 18. The only thing we could do was have a conservatorship. We were so concerned it was on the up and up that we made sure the biological mother came to court. Toohey said that he'd, of course, end the conservatorship today if that's what Orr wanted.
Well, if it was, he didn't sign the conservatorship until he was 18, after he was 18, correct?
Correct, because he couldn't be adopted after the age of 18.
But if he was before the age of 18, he could have been adopted. So did they wait till after he was 18 when they could have adopted him before
remember,
he was 18?
He was held back for 2 years in school.
Well, he was
a 19-year-old college freshman. He was a 24-year-old draftee in the NFL.
He maybe they were on the up and up, but either way, if you are getting paid $225,000,
and again, Sean Toohey says that everybody, including Michael Orr, got $14,000 each. That's the claim of the other side.
Well, probably should have gotten more for a movie and a book about your life.
Well, and apparently they still do speaking engagements too, I guess, about her part.
Yeah, Leanne Toohey has a foundation, and they've been using Michael Orr's name, image, and likeness. This is part of the lawsuit, that they've been using his name, image, and likeness to promote her foundation and get donations for her foundation. And just that number too, he says $14,000 each, and Michael Orr is throwing out $225,000 for the two parents and the two biological kids.
My guess is that somebody will have receipts here. When it gets to court, somebody will have receipts.
Yeah, and that's the interesting part here. If you delve into the topic deeper, because people are wondering, what's the timing here? Well, this is all happening as he's getting drafted by Ole Miss, from Ole Miss. So he says he was just thinking about his NFL career. He started having a lawyer go through these things now that he's retired, and apparently the lawyer uncovered the conservatorship papers in February of this year, hence why we've now seen him file the lawsuit now years later. That's what kind of has been the timing of it and why it took so long.
And by the way, which Toohey said about the book and the movie, he said, we didn't make any money off the movie. Michael Lewis, the Blindside book author, who sold the rights for the movie from the book, gave us half of his share. Everybody in the family got an equal share, including Michael. It was about $14,000 each.
They only got $14,000 from the movie?
Like you said, Randy, just receipt at this point, now the first thing is, okay, is it $225,000 to 4 different people, or is it $14,000 to 5 people total? Like, that's a very big difference. Where's the receipts?
And Sean Toohey is a highly successful businessman. My guess would be that there's probably receipts there.
Well,
and unfortunately for Michael Orr, he's probably not or wasn't at that point.
It's going to be very interesting how it plays out, because I think the question that you see from a lot of people is, why did he wait so long? And you kind of addressed that a little bit, Rocchio. But from what I've heard, because he played for the Titans, I've heard from a while now that he never wanted to talk about the movie.
Right.
So it was something that he did not really want to address. He didn't want people to ask. Yes. It was something. So this is something that's obviously been festering under the surface for years. And also, regardless of what happens, what you saw in the movie, everybody, is not always reality, right? Regardless of the situation, the outcome of what's going to come from this, that was just a movie. Yep. It's not always real life.
And
Titanic wasn't real. Notebook wasn't real.
Right.
Avatar.
It wasn't?
I don't know. Maybe.
Titanic might have been. Here's the other thing about the Orr situation. When Michael Lewis, who wrote Moneyball, comes to you and says, hey, this is a really interesting story, I'd like to write about this, they probably think, let's get this story out there. This is a really good, feel-good story, rather than, well, yeah, you could write a book about us, but you have to pay us.
Yeah. Well, I think if you are someone I don't know. It needed to be out there. It should have been out there. I think Michael Orr, if you're writing a story or doing a movie about a human, a person that is still living, you want to be as accurate as possible. And one of the things that Michael Orr, I guess, was bothered by when the movie came out, because it sort of made him seem like he didn't know anything about football. Like, this was this family, this young, poor black kid from the inner city, from the projects, being taken in by this white family that saved his life in a sense, but also taught him about the game of football that he knew nothing about and was unaware of. He was a huge human being. He knew and had some understanding of what he was, where he was, and what he needed to do.
And we don't know, and may never know, who is at fault for that perception in the movie, whether it is Michael Lewis or people who took literary license when they made a movie, or the Toohey family. We don't know.
It happens all the time. Like Titanic, Jack wasn't real, was he? There's been things that said that he wasn't actually real.
Yes. They are real.
Which reminds me, the craziest thing about all this happening yesterday is that the biggest thing that was trending that sent you to this story, Sandra Bullock.
Yeah.
that was the name people were throwing out there.
People want to take away her Oscar.
Oh, her husband just died. Did you guys see that? Her husband just died. She doesn't have anything to do with this.
No.
Sandra's a saint. Please don't drag her into this.
The woman took a role her agent got a call on. Like, how are we going to drag her for that?
Yeah, and also her husband or partner just died. Like, literally this past week or weekend.
People find the weirdest things
just being
to pick
drugged
and
into
choose
that
from.
now?
Really, no doubt. Do you think those people in the submersible should have been told that the Titanic wasn't real?
Oh, no, I shouldn't have brought up the Titanic.
I'm going to step out in this one and leave that one alone.
You're going to get another phone call.
Yeah. I'm out of here.
All right, so tomorrow we're going to have Wednesdays with Waino, and we'll be joined by college football analyst and former St. Louis Ram, Tyoka Jackson.
Oh, good. Yeah. Well, always good to talk to Ty. Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you, Randy.
Brooke, was this fun?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
This was fun.
That Rose, man, she was ice cold. I'll never let you go. And she lets him go.
Why? Okay, Jack could have fit on the door. I'm just going to throw that out there. We'll end on that note.
I concur.
Hey, we thank you for texting in, tuning in, and being a part of the show. For all of us, until tomorrow morning at 7. Have a great day, St. Louis.